Hello, welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu, and today is November 20th, 2021. And today I have a packed show for you. It's going to be very interesting conversations that we will have today. I have the chairperson of OVG in the person of Kossi Nutekpor will be joining me for the first 30 minutes, and we'll be discussing issues concerning Volta region. We'll talk about the Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi issues. We'll talk about the border closures in Aflau and the rest of the border towns in Ghana. And then we'll look at the tidal waves that is currently causing a lot of displacements in the southern parts and the coastal areas of Volta region. And then we'll switch to OVG. And what is OVG? The One Volta Group. And what are they doing? What's their role? How can people join? How can people help? What are some of the plans they have? So that will be the first 30 minutes of the show today. Now, he's giving me the go-ahead, or he told me that he will hang around for the budget discussion, which is going to be the second thing we talk about. We'll discuss, what was presented to, Ghana in Parliament by the Minister of Finance, Ofori Attah, in terms of the policies of the government in 2022, some of the revenue measures they released. We'll talk about the economic performance for the year 2021 and what the outlook look like. What are the projections for GDP growth for 2022, 2023, and 2025? Some of the programs that they rolled out that are either going to clear tolls or give youth employment, etc., etc. And I would like for you to contribute wherever you are watching, either through sending us messages or through, if time allowed, we would open the line for people to actually call us. So if you can do that, we would be excited about that. Today's show is going to be packed. I am seriously anxious to welcome all my guests to the studio so we can have this conversation. So after the first 30 minutes, I'll be joined by the regular panelists in person of Paul Disosu, Dr. Lawrence Appiah, Dr. Erasmus Atajemfi would also be joining us. We'll have Dr. Ato Komina Danso will be joining, and then Efa Ameya would also be joining for us to discuss the budget. I would also be joined by Daniel Amponsan would also be joining. So please, if you haven't already done so, share the link so all your loved ones, friends who would also benefit from this program can also join and participate. So without further ado, let me take a quick break. When I return, I will bring my first guest, Mr. Kossi Nutekpor, the chairperson of One Volta Group Incorporated, to have the first segment of our show. So we'll be back, quick break, and then we'll have that conversation.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
right, welcome back to the show. And now I am joined by Mr. Kossi Nutekpor, and I'm so excited about the conversation we are about to have. Mr. Nutekpor, I'm so excited that you are able to join us today. It's been a long chase. I'm always calling and asking, when are you going to join me? When are you going to join me? Since the first time you came, we love everything you told us, and we can't wait for today's discussion. Welcome to the Ghana Agenda, Mr. Kossi.
Thank you very much, Alfred. You forgot to mention, but you and I, your middle, we have something in common.
Yes, we do.
Which is that your last name is my middle name, Amuzu.
Yes. So we usually call each other name. So yes.
I am excited to be with you today.
Yeah, and beyond that, I have a lot of things I look up to you for, your leadership in the community, and secretly you are my mentor. So we have more than one thing in common.
Thank you very much for that beautiful compliment.
Yeah. So this is the second time you're on the show, but somebody may be seeing you for the first time. So can you quickly tell us about yourself? I know you are the chairperson of One Volta Group, which was a group that was formed during the time the Volta region was getting divided. And as some will put it, this president, Akufo-Addo's presidency, has been one of the most consequential presidencies in the history of Ghana. And those are some of the things we'll be talking about. But before we get into all those details, can you please tell the viewer or the listener who's seeing you for the first time who you are and what you do?
Sure. As you said, my name is Kossi Nutekpor. I am the chairperson for the One Volta Group, which came about as a result of the referendum to divide, to create the 16 regions, to bring the regions from 10 to 16. Right. We stood against it and we mobilized. The easiest way to remember me is I was a gentleman that went to the Ghana embassy in Washington, D.C. and asked a simple question to the president of our country. Why would you divide a country and not allow all of his people to take part in that decision? Right. And the president, as the viral video showed, went completely ballistic and just not being able to answer a simple question. But since then, we have grown from a group that was formed to keep our region together into a group, an advocacy group, and a developmental group. And we have a 12-member leadership that basically wants to take the Volta region specifically from where it is to where it ought to be. And I'm sure we will get a chance to speak a little bit more in details as to what the One Volta Group, which I had, wants to take the Volta region.
Okay, great for that introduction. So as you started the introduction and you started talking about One Volta Group, this question comes to my mind. People ask, we do have these groups, but then we have issues like what we saw in Central Kofi Akpafu, Likwe, and Lolobi, where a whole community was disenfranchised in our last election. What are some of the things that this group is doing? Or what do you, first of all, being that I'm also someone who talks to you a lot, I know that you were involved in a way. So can you tell us where that situation is today? I know there were some court cases filed. There was, some, hearings on this issue. But where are we as far as the disenfranchisement of the people of SALL is concerned? And what is OVG doing in that arena as well?
All right. Thanks for the question. So before I even take that question, this morning we got the sad news on the passing of one of the top strategists, security strategists Ghana has ever known, in the person of Captain Kojochi Keta, is passing this morning. I would just like to take a second to wish his family, friends, and well-wishers our condolences. And we pray that God will give him a peaceful placed by his side. Having said that, the SALL refers to Central Kofi. SALL, SALL, is an acronym that means stands for Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe.
Right.
They are the most famous group of people in Ghana, in the sense that, as we stand today, they are the only group of people, not only in Ghana, but in, I went in to find how many such groups existed in the world, and there are not very many, who have no representation in parliament. And if Ghana, being a democracy, can have a group of people in its borders that have no representation, I think we ought to bow our heads in shame. So there's a lot of legal jargons and a lot of legal terminologies as to how it came to be. But let me break it down in a simple common man's language. How did it come to be that the people of SALL have no representation in parliament? I will first explain that we need to be a bit specific. The people of Central Kofi, the traditional area of Central Kofi, and Likpe do consider themselves part of the OT region as it was divided. The contention is in the people of Akpafu and Lolobi, who, and here is the crux of the matter, they did not petition to belong to the OT side. They have always been part of the Hohoi municipality. And when the division came up, they did not petition to join the OT, but they were being forcefully, taken to that part of the region. The Constitution of Ghana stipulates very clearly that you cannot force a people to where they do not want to be. And so once that issue came up and they protested, they were basically ignored. And so when the election came, 2020 election came up, the crux of the matter was that the MPP wanted to have one foothold in the Volta region.
Okay. Why is that so important to them?
It is, I guess, so they had to carve out in the Hohoi municipality a section so that John Amawu, we all know about John Amawu.
Is it Peter or John?
Peter, I'm sorry. Peter Amawu, yes, could win. And so that could not happen as long as the Akpafu and Lolobi traditional area was part of the Hohoi municipality, for which they have been all these many, many years. Right. So if you take them and put them in OT, then it leaves enough votes for Amawu to become the MP for that area. And so as we got to the election, they basically could not, they could vote for the presidential election, but they could not vote for the parliamentary. Yeah. And therefore, that's how they came to not be represented in parliament. So from the issue, the people obviously did not just sit idle. They took issue with it and they took it to court. I am pleased to say that the One Volta group came to their aid, and we mobilized funds to help them. Lawyer Chachuchi Keta was represented them at the Supreme Court, but the real crux of the matter got set aside, in the sense that the instrument that during the lead up to the referendum that divided the Volta region and the OT, the CI, yes, the Brobe. Actually, let's back up a bit. The Brobe Commission That's basically made a recommendation for the referendum. Had some impersonators for those two communities.
Okay.
And therefore, that's where basically the matter laid. And so the Brobe Commission, as we all remember, took forever to be released. And when it was released, it was only released in its electronic version. The hard copy that showed the addenda and the people who signed to represent those two communities have never been released. And so the action with the people of Akpafu and Lolobi took this to court, and the redress that they are seeking is that that all be gazetted and shown, so that we can see that they did not actually petition to join OT, to be part of OT. Yes. So all that, it went to the Supreme Court, but through legal maneuvers, they sort of set that issue aside. So until that issue is addressed, and the people of the SALL have actually taken this issue to the parliament, and that's where it rests today. They want they have actually had audience with the Speaker of the Parliament, and they are asking that the hard copy of the Brobe Commission that started all these issues be gazetted and for the public to see.
Okay.
So that's where they are right now.
Right. So we hope, Parliament. So I guess we are waiting on Parliament to now take the necessary steps to get that gazetting going, and perhaps there could be lawsuits that follows after that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And obviously they have backup as to what they're going to do if the Parliament does not come for are not forthcoming.
Okay, great. Okay. Regina Ado is watching us and says, good afternoon, Alfred, and to Mr. Nutekpor. So we have a few people watching us. Some of them, Regina is actually from Aflao. Reason I'm going to Aflao specifically is that it happens to be the biggest border that we share with Togo. And since COVID happened, we were told that people could cross the border with COVID into our country, and therefore we are sealing the border, the airport. We went locked down, and during the time that they sealed the border or they closed the border and they had a lockdown, we saw people were fed in Accra and Kumasi. The feeding thing is also important to me because the whole Aflao town's economy depends on the border, people crossing between the two countries and trading. And so you would expect that when they close the border, that these people will be assisted in one way or the other. But that didn't happen. And the airport was open and the border is still closed. And these people complain. Even the chief keeps complaining. Recently, the chief actually, Togwifiti in this case, got into some trouble with the president where he was complaining about school buildings or one of the E-blocks that was cited in Aflao that was not completed or left uncompleted, and he can find place for the growing population of Aflao to be educated. Now, again, you sit in a very important seat, the chairperson of OVG, so you get to see and engage some of the key stakeholders involved in this things that I've just described, the chief of Aflao and co. What have we done? Is this supposed to be some conceded effort? What is going on in Volta region? What are you hearing? What is your feelings when you talk to these people? What are they communicating to you? Are there going to be solutions to the border issue? Is there anything we should be looking forward to in 2022? And if not, what can we do as people who are sitting here in the United States who come from that area through either OVG or other organizations that you may be aware of? Long question.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. So the first thing the average Ghanaian ought to know about that border, that particular border. Ghana obviously have three big borders, with the Ivory Coast, with Togo, and with Burkina Faso. The most important thing about this particular border in Aflao is that apart from the revenue, in terms of revenue, in
Revenue
terms
that
of
comes from
economic activity.
our ports, yes.
Yes, as far as ports. Apart from the port in Tema, the second most profitable border, where revenue comes through is Aplao.
Right.
Okay. So with that said, with that as the background, if you have your second most revenue generating border closed for the past 2 years, right? Almost 2 years now. It is, forget the people of Aplao for a second.
Right.
Take Ghana as a country. If the mouth that feeds you, you shut the second most important thing that brings revenue to you is shut down. Because and the excuse or the reason, let me be a little generous. The reason for closing it is because you are afraid of COVID.
Right.
Okay. It is very worrisome. The fact that and you alluded to it, the borders, the airport is open. There has been people coming across since basically the COVID came into being. So why can't the same measures that have been set up to screen people through the airport be done on the border? You know?
But they tell you it's very expensive, control environments. The border situation doesn't lend itself to where we would have a COVID testing facility situated. Sometimes they point to the United States and say, even the United States border and Canada is too close.
But it's subsequently been opened.
Right,
there's still traffic going through. So the key here is we've all seen COVID around the world. Africa has been spared quite. We've been very lucky as to the outbreak of this disease. Ghana still hasn't had more than 5,000 deaths anyway. The countries to our left, Togo that I'm talking about, have had very minimal incidence of COVID. So in my opinion, COVID is just an excuse. So if that was so, okay, now take the people of Keta, of Aplao.
Right.
This is their livelihoods. 90%, majority of Ghanaians are farmers. So economic activity is centered around farming. The majority of the residents of Aplao and Ketu South is centered around that border.
Right.
Okay. So you can imagine what that does to them. So if COVID is your concern, and you've gone to help the people of Kumasi and Accra and some other places, what is the government doing about this? Right. I'll have to go a step further and say, what are our parliamentarians doing to force the government to realize that the people are suffering, and then you're shutting down the economic activity that actually benefits the country? It makes absolutely no sense to us. So, as you said, I am in touch with Togbi Fiti, and I hear of the suffering of the people. You can imagine his frustration with the border closure and all its associated ills. So the children, and then you can imagine that a school that began way back in the other administration is still being left uncompleted. So when a chief, a respected chief as him, comes out and says, expresses his desire to have this completed by a certain date, I do not think the president of the country should ridicule him in the way he did. And furthermore, I feel, One Volta, we have actually reached out. We are in touch with the Volta caucus, and we have reached out to some of the members of the Volta caucus to find out what pressure are they bringing to bear on the government to make sure, if they are not going to, the government has no plans to reopen the border, what are they doing to alleviate the sufferings of the people? You know, and it's up to this point, I don't see very good, you know, answers to you. The other thing that really I need to touch on is the role of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs.
Okay.
You know, one of your colleagues, a respected one as that has been sort of disrespected. Yes. And what has been the response from the Volta Regional House of Chiefs?
Right.
You know, many people, including Kevin Taylor, have accused as Voltarians of being the reason we are so disrespected, because we do not fight back. We do not respond to, you know, just blatant disrespect, and you know, the way we are treated almost as non-citizens. It's not. We should not put up with that.
All right. Okay. Right. So, I think the issues of Volta are just endless. You know, we finished talking about one and transition right into another one. And this one that I'm about to talk about, I want us to talk about now, is something that has been with the region since, I think, even predates the 70s. I remember sometime in the 80s, and this is going to give out my age now. I remember sometime in the 80s that we had a house in Keji that was wiped out. And I'm talking about two different houses, one on the side of the street that is nearest to the beach, and the other one to the lagoon. All these houses wiped out. I'm talking about community of more than 100, a large community. Yes. Talking about whole community of Keji, Vojan, and you know, along the coast, and that has continued. It took about, I would say, 10 to 15 years to see the whole community wiped out, and we knew that the adjoining towns are also going to face the same thing. And lo and behold, and we've been working on this sea defense. We've been talking about having a sea defense to protect those people since the 80s. Government came and go, and we are still not able to provide sea defense to these people. Is this also political? I mean, if you know, you have one section of your country being constantly devastated either by natural disasters or by your own doing, it's sending the wrong signal to those people. Those people can be happy. And I know, you know, as an association that concerns yourself with the Volta region, are you happy about what you're seeing in the region? And I wanted to play you a video of, you know, the parliamentarians going to visit and asking the people what they wanted, but I will leave that at the side and just talk about it. Are you happy with what you're seeing in the Volta region, and do you think it is sending the wrong signal to people like yourself and the organization you lead?
It sure is. It's sure sending the wrong signal. You know, since we have all seen, we all have WhatsApp, we all have Twitter, we all have Facebook. We have seen all the pictures and videos that have come from the Keta area, the whole coast of eastern coast there. And it has not been very, you know, people's houses flooded. Many, you know, it used to be, you clearly cited, this problem has been with us since the 70s. Occasionally it takes over a section of the town, and then they move, and it's continued. This time, the one we saw this time, for about a week and a half, people couldn't go back into their houses. Displacement of people. In any part of the world, you would have seen the president of the country, if not say something, would have taken a trip, a helicopter trip, and gone to see and at least sympathize with the people of the area. We have not seen that. We have not seen, the only thing we have seen was videos of the former president load up a huge truck Yes, with supplies, blankets and mattresses and rice and oil and all of that.
Right.
That is very laudable. You know, we saw a video of the regional minister with a very puny, nothing significant.
Right.
So on the humanitarian side, the president could have done a whole lot better. It disturbs me that we are taxpayers just as everyone else. And when a natural disaster of that magnitude happens, we get silence from the president. So in the short term, really nothing from him. In the long term, so this is where OVG comes in. My first instinct was to reach out to the parliamentarians in the area. I have seen Jifa Gomeshi, who is the MP for that area, go there and scream at the press for not really bringing pressure to bear. And I've seen non-profit organizations actually go to distribute a few things. But the question is, what is the long-term plan?
Right.
What is the long-term plan? I also saw a video, and I think that was what you may have of Jifa, and I am actually grateful that she's at least bringing some exposure to bear on the issue. But this video shows MPs from different parts of the country going there to have a photo op. All right. What happened to having some engineers go to Keta and actually find out what went wrong? Right? We are in the 21st century, for crying out loud. What happened to having engineers with the delegation assess what went wrong and what can be done about it? Instead, we see this one MP after another introducing themselves and actually just basically having a photo op, and as if this was some self-promoting trip. So I give her some credit for bringing her colleagues there too, but I think she left out the important thing that needed to be done.
So what you're saying is, for the long term, for the purposes of getting a lasting solution for the people, it's not MPs that the people want to see. They want to see engineers.
Absolutely. We want to see engineers. This problem, like you correctly stated again, it's not something that happened yesterday. Right. It occasionally it flaws. Obviously, Keta is below sea level.
Right.
But Keta is not the first area in the world, or even in to be under sea level. We know how to deal with these situations.
Right.
So yes, government after government, I'll blame the NDC, I'll blame the MPP. We are actually not a partisan organization anyway, but governments have come and gone. Be as it may, today we have the MPP administration, right? We have, this is probably the biggest it's actually been, okay? And MPs going there to have a photo op rather than taking permanent solution. It is so, it just makes you wonder. And Alfred, this is one of the things about our country. We have people who have been to school, who have higher learning. We have engineers, we have architects. We know how to solve this very problem. Okay, and the fact that
what you're saying is, if we really want to, we can solve this.
If we really want to, we can solve it. So it is a question of will, and sometimes the reason there isn't enough will is that there isn't enough pressure on the representatives, the representatives of the people. So every one of these we are represented in parliament. We paid our taxes. We are fully Ghanaians. All right. So where are our parliamentarians showing some outrage? that the president of the country, when this event happens, disaster happens, is traveling on a luxury plane going somewhere else, right?
So somebody will ask that, OVG, what is OVG's role? What is OVG doing for all these issues that we've discussed? I know you've already talked about how we supported the case when Chachu has to go represent the SALL issue in court. The Aflau, you said you were in contact with the chief, the Keta, and all that. So how is OVG plugged in all of these issues?
Okay, thank you. I hope I don't bore people with this part, but I want to, we have OVG focuses on two pillars, right? The internal vision. So for the internal vision, we have a public affairs group that are in touch with the MPs, the politicians, right? They are in touch with the chiefs. We have a strong alliance with the chiefs. And then we have a strong alliance with the Volta youth, the youth of our region. One of the other internal visions is to grow. OVG is registered here in the diaspora and also registered in Ghana. We would like to grow OVG Ghana into a formidable organization that does most of the work that needs to be done there. And then, of course, we have the member engagement that takes care of, our website, our social media engagements.
Social media presence and all that. Yeah.
Yes, we plan to, in the future, we plan to develop something like the equivalent of an Angie's List for the Volta regions, so that all our professionals and our workers artisans are on it to sell each ourselves. So that's one pillar. The second pillar of OVG is advocacy. No, the first one on that is advocacy. So this is what OVG, or this is where OVG is fundamentally different from all the other Voltarian or Away organizations.
That was going to be my next question, but since you started, combine and answer that. Because people say CIANA, which is the Council of Railway Associations of North America. What is OVG and why are these two organizations not together?
Exactly. So we do hope to collaborate in the future, as we have collaborated a little bit in the past. But the fundamental difference is that we are principally an advocacy organization. We advocate for the causes of the Volta region. We all know if you don't, something happens and everybody says, who is going to go do this?
Right.
OVG steps in and we bring education and public awareness and plans, and we contact the people who we feel can effect change. And we get to them and try to get things resolved. So that's the first one on that pillar. Education. We want to engage in education, because in a region, a huge region, a beautiful region, a gifted region as in the Volta region, we need to have its citizens well educated. One of the two initiatives we are taking in the area of education is robotics. We all know robotics has been introduced to Ghana. Some schools, schools like Prempeh College are big with it. Robotics is a NASA-run program. So we have actively introduced robotics to the Volta region. We are starting with about 4 schools across the region: Bando Secondary, Keta Secondary, and Peki, I believe in Peki. So we're taking about 4 schools in the Volta region and introducing robotics to them. There are scholarship
so this is part of your pilot program for robotics in Volta region.
In the Volta region,
we're doing 4 schools.
Exactly. We're going to start with 4 schools.
For all these things?
I'm sorry.
How are you paying for all this?
We will raise funds. We will reach out to nonprofit organizations. We will reach out to people who are willing to help our region, sister cities in the US and around the world, and we will try to get help from them. The second part of the education is scholarships for the tertiary institution. We are going to have individuals sponsor tertiary students for their first, at least for their first year, $1,000 scholarship to get gifted students from the region started. Some would actually fund them for the whole 4 years across the board. And you would have, let's say you, Alfred, you decided to sponsor a $1,000 scholarship for a tertiary student starting their university education. Right. Your name, your name would sort of be on it. Alfred OVG, Alfred Amuzu OVG scholarship. Right. So for some self-interest, people would be asked to volunteer and help our students in the tertiary institutions. And then, of course, we'll do seminars on different subjects to educate Voltarians. The third one is health. Right. In the area of health, we are going to do equipment sourcing from the diaspora and supply to all our hospitals and clinics in the region. So that's actively being worked on. And the only thing holding us right now is shipping the containers and clearing it. That we are also trying to work through our parliamentarians to grant us access. Medical mission, a group of medical experts, doctors, nurses would go to the region, to certain villages, and provide medical services for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc. The last part of this pillar here is the economic development. So in this area, tourism. So right now, as we speak, the OVG leadership is working with a private group that is working to develop a huge tourism, a huge resort next to the Afajato Mountain. So yeah, most of you know Afajato Mountain is the biggest, tallest mountain in Ghana. Certainly, some dispute whether it's the tallest in West Africa, but it's out there. Next to it are monkey sanctuaries, the Water Falls. So this organization is trying to bring all these and turn that area into a world-class tourist attraction. And OVG is working with privately to partner with this private organization. We are also going to be helping out. Togbi Apede is interested in bringing attention to the whole airport. We're going to be working with Togbi on that. And then we are also going to try to help when and if the government decides the Keta seaport would be a worthwhile project to undertake, both in economic terms and to help with these tidal waves that we are experiencing. OVG would be a partner with the government. So this is what OVG has been working on since beginning of this year.
Okay, so I just put a scroll in the bottom of the show, which shows the OVG's website for people who are willing to learn more about the organization. And it's onevoltagroup.org, onevoltagroup.org. You can go there and find out all the things that our chairman, Mr. Nutekpor, has just described. I'm actually the financial secretary and all this, the financial controller of OVG. So if you're interested in joining, please reach out to me directly. I would set you up so you can start paying dues. We pay dues. It's $10 a month. Since the budgets just came out and things have been increased, we should also think about increasing that, Chairman. What do you think?
You have something going there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to bring the other panelists to the show so we can start talking about budget, but you've agreed to hang around. So if you don't mind, I'll bring them in now. But I think there is a conversation we need to have. I know you didn't have enough time for us to actually go through the scholarship programs that OVG is doing. We haven't gone through the robotics. I have follow-up questions, but it calls for another conversation, and I'll be happy to have that where we would have maybe an hour or two dedicated and go into all the details.
Certainly.
So, all right, let me take one quick commercial break. And then when we get back, I will bring in Dr. Lawrence Appiah, who's in the studio, and the rest of my guests so we can start talking about the 2022 budgets and government policy statements. We'll be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, Mr. Nutekpor, I have a long message here for you. I wanted to make sure you react to that before we get into the next segment. This comments is from Ras Akolache. He says, I subscribe to the idea that we have contributed to our bipartisan neglect. We need a united front. Our chiefs need to elevate their influence profile. Our MPs need to advocate for the region more forcefully. We need to leverage our political influence principally. Principally, we teach people how to teach us. And as our elders say, the way you tilt your cup is how you get served. Till we get our act together, we shall continue to be treated with the utmost disrespect and impunity. So what do you have to say about that quickly, and then we'll bring the other guys.
I actually agree with brother Ras. It is true. You cannot basically sell yourself short.
Right.
You know, we politically we have actually tilted ourselves so much to one side that one party takes us for granted and the other party just ignores us.
Right.
And, you know, Alfred, one of the areas in life, it's like a bank. If the banks like to give big loans to people who already have loans, who have money, right? People who are poor, have no collateral, basically get no loans, and yet they are the ones who need it the most. If this is where OVG, this is where we want to change the trajectory of our people. If we can get our education in order, we can turn our economic lot around. If we can, all the natural resources we have, if we can develop it, if we do not wait for the government to come and do what individuals and private groups can do in collaboration with our chiefs, okay, and our youth. If we do not do it, the government of Ghana, you know, if we get a government that is not have no interest. They feel like they don't get any votes from us anyway, so why should they go and develop us?
Why should they be
We get
interested?
those that think we are well bang for them. They will just come in. Who are you going to vote for? You're just going to vote for us, right? If we don't create the atmosphere where they feel compelled to step in and do for us what we should do for ourselves, we will forever be, spinning the wheels around. So let's show them the way, and they won't take us for granted any longer. So our brother has his finger on something very important.
All right, thanks for that reaction to the comment. And Ras, keep it coming. No problem. I know you were tapping fast, so you kind of missed the treat us part, but that's okay. We got it. So I'm bringing the rest of the team where they already on. You can see them. You can see Dr. Lawrence taking his notes, getting ready to attack. I know the budgets. It's giving him sleepless nights, as he has given all of us. We've been thinking about whether we should ship all our money back home before the taxes kick in. But welcome to the show today. And today we want to talk about the 2022 budget statement and economic policy of the Republic. Dr. Lawrence, welcome to the show, and Daniel Yao Amposan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alfred.
Yeah.
I heard Daniel this morning on the show, so I don't want him to change his mind over here. I recorded everything he said there, so.
If you like, send me the tape, we'll play here against him. So guys,
if he changes his mind, then I will send you the tape and then you play it.
Okay. Daniel, you heard him. He said we already have tape for you, so say the same things he said earlier.
Thank you, Alfred, and then Dr. Lawrence, and then Mr. How do you pronounce the name? Kossi or Kossi?
Kossi Nutekpor.
Kossi Nutekpor, yes, kudos to you on what you're doing. You see, this is what I keep telling people, that until Ghanaians wise up and realize that we do politics for the development and advancement of people. We don't just go voting for people because we just want to vote for them because they come from our hometown. Somebody can come from your hometown and not do anything for you. Right. And what he's doing, we need a lot of such groups in different regions to begin to tell our people how to vote and what they should look out for when they are voting and what they should demand from politicians. So I'm really on board with what you're doing. You have my full support. And in my community, I'm doing a similar thing, because we are not just going to sit down there and be like, it's always MPP, always NDC, and then we'll be fooled like that. And constantly we are stuck in the same place for decades. So I'll say keep up. I mean, and I like the fact that you've seen where the future is, which is robotics. And you've already you are taking your people through, that journey. It's very welcoming news that you are helping your community be ahead of the, frontiers in terms of technology. And Amuzu, by the way, Volta region, sometimes tell me, if you look at every country, there's something that is unique about every region. Right. I would say if you want one of the best academicians in Ghana, that part of the region produces a lot of good academicians. I've been with many students that have come from the Volta region, and they are always on top. They are always on top. Very smart folks. And so I think that robotics thing, I'm not surprised. It's a very fertile place because the kids are very smart. Once given the opportunity, they can be able to take it and run with it. So I'm very much encouraged that, I mean, he's doing such a thing for the people, and it takes leadership and commitment to do that. So I'll say kudos to him for that initiative.
All right. So
Alfred, before we start, I'm also the chairman of the Diaspora Progressive Movement, and I would want to make you the financial secretary so you can give me airtime to come and talk about my movement. And as soon as I finish talking about my movement and propagating the good works of NDC and John Mahama, you bring Daniel in to comment on what I have said, so that it will be a fair and balanced. Because I mean, he has commented on one voter group, and I want him to comment on the Diaspora Progressive Movement too. And you brought Mr. Kossi on because you are his you are his financial secretary. So I'll make you the financial secretary of the diaspora movement. So you can give me airtime, come and also say what I have for the people of Ghana.
Yeah, but Amuzi, before you go, there was one thing that this week I saw and I was really impressed. I think the IGP went to the is it Awumufia? Correct me if I'm wrong. The Awumufia of the Volta region. I was really impressed about the beauty of the palace, and the culture that was at display. I watched it the whole time on my phone. I'm like, wow, this is a really nice palace. And for once, I felt like I needed to be a chief, chieftaincy is not something.
No, Volta region, we don't want you to be a chief. We are called
not in Volta region. Of course, chieftaincy is clan related.
Nanaya Wasare. Nanaya Wasare cannot be a chief of Volta region.
No, I can't be a chief. I know. I get that. But
if you are Kossi or Amuzu, we will take you.
I was really impressed.
So we also joined by Paul. Paul, welcome to the show today. I'm sure you've heard. You actually told me in the background that you were enjoying what Mr. Nutekpor said about the Volta region and some of the work that the OVG is doing. We are all full of praises for him, so maybe let me give you also the opportunity to say your praises. But before then, everybody knows you already. What has been happening new this week that you want to share before we start the show?
Well, thank you very much, Alfred. And as I told you behind the scene, I was enjoying the conversation we had then with Mr. Nutekpor, and that was great insight. And I think, it was a nice interview, and I've learned a lot from him. And I think, Volta region and Voltarians, we all need to come together to build our region. That is what the key is. As much as I've said that.
How often do you go home? You, Paul, this also. Do you visit your people?
I think we talk about that at the end, right?
As much as I've said that, Daniel has started with his propaganda already. He knows we are going to punch him. I'm going to punch him left, right, center, forward.
Let's focus on Volta now.
So he started playing mischief and propaganda already. But I am here this afternoon for us to talk about facts, data, nothing else than fact and data, and no throwing of dust into anybody's eyes this afternoon. Thank you.
Right. Well, so the Minister of Finance, as we know, in fulfillment of, is it Act 5? What is that Act number? Well, we know the Minister of Finance went into Parliament, which he has to do annually to give us an update on our performance for 2021 and also present to us economic policies for the year 2022. And some of these policies are very popular. I've heard so many presentations, discussions. And I'm sure you've also followed the discussions.
Dr. Lawrence, what's your
Sorry.
That's fine.
Meet yourself, yeah. So I want us to to discuss that today. And I want to start from the most popular policies items that actually were announced. The first
Alfred, before you start, I have a question. Where is Ifa?
I'll get Ifa. Don't worry. Let's start.
Okay.
I'll
tell him I'm waiting for him here. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So on that note, the question I have is some of the most popular ones that we actually were, all talking about in the background is the issue of the e-levy. The e-levy being a tax scheme that is being proposed, or a levy that has been proposed for 1.7% on inward remittance, which means anytime we in the United States or in the diaspora send money to Ghana or to our loved ones, that there is a tax of 1.7% on that. Then there is a there's a Momo transfer. If there's a Momo transfer between people within Ghana, that there is a tax on it. And this we are doing because we are not able to meet our revenue mobilization targets. We are one of the lowest in the sub-region. For a country our size, we should have at least 25% of our GDP collected through taxes, or our tax revenue that we collect every year should be at least 25% of GDP. But we are not. We are cracking about 12%. And so the government roll out all these policies so that we can, generate revenue to do all the things that we want to do, to build a sea defense that we were talking about, to give employment to our youth. The government is saying that this is just part of all the programs that they are rolling out, the digitization program, where they are making it easy for people to pay fees in the country, to give youth employment, that even $1 billion from what they are going to be raising from these new taxes will be dedicated towards a program called Youth Starts. So let me stop there and say, Daniel, you speak for the MPP. People are really not happy.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, people are really not happy. I've heard this morning that Fix the Country is going on demonstration for some of the things that are being proposed, and it sounds like especially the e-levy. It's somehow, I'm feeling it's even illegal to some extent, right? Because there's no economic activity necessarily, or productive activity for which tax is being applied in some of these instances. So what is the rationale behind this? I know you are trying to raise money. The vice president, prior to coming into government, said on so many occasions that taxing or increasing taxes is not the best economic policy to have as a country our size, with the resources we have. That productivity and production is where he's going to take this country to. What has changed? Daniel, I think Daniel is frozen. So yeah, Daniel is frozen. So let me ask that question of you, Paul Disosu, first, and then we'll come to Dr. Lawrence. If Daniel comes back, we'll go to him.
So the question again.
So the question is, Dr. Bawumia has promised that, he's not going to be the one tasking us. People are angry. People are willing to go on demonstration. What is happening here? What has changed in the last 4 years to cause this government to go right back to the things they were criticizing? Because I know SALL was introduced. Akufo-Addo was the one who led demonstration against VAT, which was an indirect tax. They criticized SALL so much, but now that they're in power, it seems they're going back to the same things they criticized. What has changed?
You see, this shows the hypocrisy. This shows the dishonesty. This shows the untruthfulness of the MPP led by Akufo-Addo and his members. What didn't we hear when they were in opposition in 2015, 2016? We had the most lying vice president ever in the history of Ghana, as we speak, was holding lectures every other month when they were in opposition and talking about the economy. We heard him telling us that when the people of Ghana give them the power, they would turn the economy from taxation economy to production economy. What has happened? We heard him talking about when your economic fundamentals are weak, the dollar will expose you. What has happened? We heard him talking about building, ensuring that every constituency gets $1 million when they come into power. What has happened? He made a lot of promises. Now, the economy has been handed to them. What are we saying? Alfred, in the first place, let's take it one after the other. We all know the level at which the dollar was at the time we handed over to them in 2017, January 7th, 2017. The dollar was around 14 Ghana cedi. Is it 4 Ghana cedi to a dollar? That was what it was going for. Now, a dollar is going for 6.125 to a dollar. What happened? You see, when you play propaganda and you play mischief with, fundamental issues, it will come out to expose you. And I just want to put on record, and I hope Daniel is listening to me. The NPP getting a GDP growth rate of 7 point something percent in 2017 was not a result of the work they did. It is as a result of the good economic policies that the former administration put in place. Because prior to 2016 election, the World Bank, IMF, and other CSOs have all come out to say that based on the good economic policies that Ghana has put in place, because we went into IMF for economic management, for economic financial management, we are expecting a growth in 2017-2018 because of the way we followed the program that was given to us. So for them to come to power and getting GDP of 7.0 and all those things, thinking they are the one who did it, is total a lie. And let's put it on record. Now, at the time that 2016, that all factors were turning against us. Remember, in 2016, we have only one oil field. That is the Kwame Nkrumah. How do you call it? The Kwame Nkrumah. Please help me. The Kwame Nkrumah. You are on mute. You are on mute. The Sankofa, the Kwame Nkrumah Sankofa oil field. That's the only one we had. And let's put it on record that for almost 9 months in 2016, we had equipment that went bad. So for almost 9 months in 2016, Ghana was not producing crude oil, which we were going to sell at the world market. Let's also put it on record this afternoon that in 2016, okay, cocoa prices came down at the world market. Gold was down at the world market. Crude oil prices also came down at the world market. So all these external factors went against us. In conjunction with that also, we were trying to solve, we were almost done solving Doomso. So, small scale businesses in 2014, 2015 suffered the impact of Doomso, which replicated into 2016. So with all these factors affecting the economy, the people they called the incompetent people even grew the economy at 3.4% GDP growth rate. Now, in 2020, don't forget, as I was speaking, 2016 was an election year in Ghana. Vis-a-vis 2020 in election year in Ghana, what was the growth rate? 0.9%. And when you talk about it, they will tell you it's due to result of COVID. Now, Mr. Muzu, I think this government is very dishonest. It is on record that in 2016 has been one of the years that GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, exceeded their target set for them. So for GRA to exceed the target set for them, you are on mute. I cannot hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Alfred. Should I go on? Yeah. For GRA to exceed their target, revenue target set to them, for them to exceed it.
Yeah.
And also with the World Bank, IMF, Bank of Ghana, and then taking money from the stabilization fund, all this money were withdrawn to support 2020 because of COVID.
Right.
And for you to turn around and tell us because of COVID, that is why you had a GPT growth rate of 0.9, and you think you want to associate it to COVID. That is a disgrace and a shame to this NPP government.
Okay.
Once again, I want to also put on the record that in 2016, during election year, Ghana's deficit was around 6.4.
Right.
But in 2020, the deficit is 15.6. These are the people who are telling us that they are the better managers of the economy. These are the people who come and throw dust into the eyes of Ghanaians and try to twist fact and data. I was disappointed this week, and I heard one of their communicators, who is an MP, calls himself a doctor, disputing the GRA figure, saying that it is not true that GRA exceeded their target set to them. And it was disappointed that the host of the program did not set the record straight.
We'll get Daniel to confirm that for you.
We have come here this afternoon to set the record straight. This MPP government is the most incompetent ever in the history of the Fourth Republic. Okay. Why am I saying so? Everything thing shows that they have failed miserably. And Alfred, don't forget, in 2016, Ghana was extracting about 70,000 barrels of oil a day. In 2017, 2018, it jumped triple to 200,000 barrels a day because we added 2 more mining sites or 2 more oil field to the one that was existing.
Right.
And don't forget, as of 2017, the Sankofa oil field that was not working has been brought back into production. The equipment was fixed and we were producing oil. So
Right.
they have everything at their disposal. And even with all these things at their disposal, they are still not showing any positive growth. And look, when you talk about the banking industry, it grows in the negative.
Right.
So I don't know what this MPP, super incompetent MPP, Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his government, they said they have the men, but we are not seeing anything. Our country, beloved country, Ghana, is retrogressing. And I think that time has come for all of us to speak truth to power. And I hope my good friend Ifa will speak the truth today. We have various posts. They told us things in opposition, and the things they told us in opposition, that's the things they are doing today. As we go into the budget, we are going to talk about the money grant, the taxing of transfer money via from one network to other. All those things we'll talk about it. This will be my open statement, and I will listen and I will allow my colleagues also to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the question was actually whether anything changed, because we thought Baumia promised a lot, proud to coming into government, that, taxing is very inefficient way of running an economy. But we are seeing him do taxes, especially the indirect ones. They've introduced one right like where they did the mid-year review. And right after that is less than 6 months. We have another one on our hand, e-levy in this case. In other words, we moved from COVID levy, the sanitation one they did, and now we are having to deal with e-levy. What has changed, Daniel? Why have we abandoned the productive economy that we were promised to now one that is strictly focused on taxing in order to increase the revenue envelope?
Can you hear me, Amuzu? Sorry, I have internet issues. Yeah. I heard Paul this, so I mean, the very last part, and just tell him to relax. This is governance, time changes, and as time changes, new data coming, and this world is now a data-driven world. You just don't take decisions out of the blue or randomly. You have to take decisions guided by data. And so it's that is serious governance. Serious companies, serious countries, serious corporations invest in data, because that is the new gold. Once you have the data, you speak to the data will dictate how policy should be shaped. So he should just relax. There's more that is coming to him, and thankfully he's on today. So so Amuzu, yes, I mean, in economics is an art, and it's also a science. So you sometimes people learn the economics, but the act of doing it is different. That is why two people can sit in the same class, in the same economics class. You give them an economy, and one will do it better, the other will do it the other way around. Why? Because there's an act to it. It's not just the science itself. I mean, and
so what is the act in this?
I'm coming there, and then there's yes, as I said, there's a science and there's an act to it. So you have to have a very good blend of both. And sometimes the act comes with experience, and the science comes with data. And anybody can take data, and depending on how they understand the context, they can misinterpret it to suit their circumstances. So having said that, let me go back and say what has changed here. A lot has changed. A lot has changed within the last 5 years. And you remember the NDC attempted to tax the Momo sector, and Baumia at the time when he was asked, he said he doesn't feel like taxing that sector was right, because to him, he think that most people who deal in Momo at the time were very poor. The very poor people were mostly embracing the Momo, and so going to tax them would be killing that. Adoptee, whatever you call it, that early adoption of Momo as a payment platform. And he thought that no, that platform is a significant platform that we need to allow many people to have confidence, trust, and adopt it. And as we're in that stage, like I tell you, with everything, there is, a growth, maturity, and a declining stage. We are not peaked. We were still doing that. So he thought that doing that would kill people's, move away from
But
cash.
he was emphatic. He wasn't even giving it any period. He was saying that it is the wrong thing to do, period. Not to say it was wrong because of where we were in its growth trajectory,
Well, he said that there's a wrong thing there. Now, like I said, time has evolved, data has evolved. So it is only a fool who doesn't change his mind when data evolves and he has new facts and new basis.
Principles shouldn't necessarily change because time.
No. Economic principle matures within context. You don't just apply economic principle out of nowhere. They have to apply
demand and supply regardless. This is economic. This is his economic philosophy. He's saying that, and it is still true what he said, though. It's not like what he said.
It's true, but that's what I'm telling you. There's a degree.
Him breaking his own promise to us.
I get that. It's true. Yes, it's true largely. It's true largely, but there's a degree. There's a degree to everything. Even in statistics, you have to pick your confidence level. Somebody won 95%, somebody will live with 90%. So there's a degree to everything. You have to define what comfort of confidence level you have to be able to say yes.
Okay, going to kick in there. Go ahead. Tell us the confidence level for.
So what I'm saying is that at the time, yes, he made that statement, and this was the reason, and it made sense. At the time, most people agreed with him. Not many people agreed about what he was saying, and that is why this is a democracy. Somebody says something, and you have alternative facts. Challenge him to it. At the time, the NDC was in government. Nobody put a gun to them to say stop it. Why didn't they go ahead? If they thought what Bamia was saying didn't make sense, they should have just gone ahead and do what they wanted to do, because they own power and they dictate. They have seen the data and they can speak to the data better than Bamia. If Bamia was wrong, prove him he was wrong. So what I'm saying is that now what has changed is that since COVID came, right, the whole world, we've seen the acceleration of, people reliance on technology. That is a fact. It's happened across the board. Companies that were slow in adopting technology have come to realize that, hey, we have to be here on this platform. Otherwise, our business models are going to go away. And Ghana, too, that has helped somehow to accelerate people's adoption of this technology for the convenience, for the ease. And people have come to see the benefits. So over time, the data has grown tremendously on those platforms. The data has grown tremendously on those platforms. And Amuzu, you and I know that technology in economics, we call something elasticity, right? Elastic, inelastic. If something is inelastic, it what means that the tendency for people to get away from that thing, even when you increase the price a little bit, it's not huge. They are still going to be stuck to it. So there's this inelastic, way of on Momo when it comes to people have come to
inelastic demand. Therefore,
exactly. Therefore, pricing it will not necessarily stop many people. It will only slow. It will only slow the rate of adoption, right? Because people will start now. They will pause a little bit and start thinking, "Am I?"
But essentially, it's lazy. That's what we are saying. It's a very lazy.
We'll come to that. Anybody can say anything. When you are in government, you have to find solutions to the problems that you face. So you can sit in opposition and say it's lazy. When you can tell me what you are going to do differently, anybody can say anything. It's lazy. That is fine. I don't have a problem.
I'm using your vice president's words.
Well, that is what I said. The NDC, they have to learn to defend themselves. I'm not always going to defend it, but I'm saying you are lazy and you can defend yourself at the time. Now you tell me that you said you are lazy. What do you want me to do? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to move forward to tell you what I think has to be done. So what I'm saying is that, Amuzu, that platform has become a bigger chunk, has taken a bigger chunk of the payment system in our country. It is hugely skewed towards that platform. And like you said, government taxing powers, government can decide to tax any economic activity. And this platform, the other time when we spoke about it, remember Paul Dishoso was talking about government having built that backbone infrastructure, the fiber optic. That is helping these telcos run on the back of that backbone to do what they're able to do now. And government also having created the interoperability platform has contributed to this success.
Oh, he's frozen again. Okay. His boss is here. But before I come to you, let me go to Mr. Kossi Nutekpor. Mr. Kossi, you are neutral. You're not supporting. You're not speaking for any political party per se. how are you? What is your reaction to the budget, especially the portion that is imposing some 1.7% on transfers going from overseas to the United States, to Ghana?
Okay, thank you very much for bringing me on this budget. In 2014, I moved to Ghana, and I actually went to stay forever. But then, during the 2 years that I was there, I heard the NPP call the NDC using the word incompetent so many times that that word actually lost its meaning. Otherwise, I would have actually used it right now on the NPP. And the first thing I guess I need to say is that I am the chair of the One Volta group. We are a 501c3 organization. We take no sides, as you said. I am not an MPP. I'm not an ND. I've never been to any party meeting ever. So let me put that out there before I say what I'm going to say. What Mr. Mponsa was just saying, trying so hard to defend the indefensible. It is why partisanship is so horrible. And Ghanaians, let me talk to Ghanaians. In Ghana, or here in the US or in the West, partisanship is almost a luxury, right? The economy is set. It's on autopilot, and everything just goes as the economic activity goes. They just measure, how high, how low, So when Ghanaians, we as Ghanaians, we as Africans actually as a whole, we should really take a different approach to partisanship. This particular e-levy that is being introduced, it's so asinine, it's so horrible that no NPP person should defend it just because you are an NPP person. It is horrible. So you're going to levy 1.75
because they are saying they have a lot of things to do.
Yes,
without raising funds that way, without filling our revenue envelope that way, we would have to go and borrow. So they are saying that they're finding other ways to bring money into the government's coffers so government can take care of. As we speak, by the time we pay interest and pay salaries, we have about 90% of our tax revenue. So we have to increase that tax revenue. Otherwise, we are going to bankrupt the future of our kids. We would saddle them with all these debts in the future. Yeah.
So be it. And by the time I'm done talking, I'm not sure my friend Yawa Mponsa is going to be so liking me. Thanks for the compliments you gave me, though. But the second thing I will say is that the fact that this current administration has borrowed more money than all the previous administrations in the Fourth Republic combined says so much. So the issue about the need to raise money for what? What have they done with all the money that has been borrowed for all these years? That combined is more than all the other 3 or 4 previous administration. That's number one. So if you tell me you need to raise money, you need to raise money to do something for the people. We have not seen that. There is no evidence on the ground that over $300 billion, or whatever the figure is, I don't want to quote it wrong, has not really anything to show for it. So then that takes me to the next stage. You are going to raise, first of all, there is the illegality of it. Mr. Mponsa, when he was responding, said something very important. By the way, I don't know if any of you know Mr. B.M. Menu. He wrote Economics Made Easy in Ghana. He was my first teacher at Amas in Kumasi. So he taught me a few things about economics. If you are you need to tax economic activity. Economic activity. So if I send money from here to Ghana for my nephew or for my niece to pay her school fees, and you are going to tax that as she takes it out, what economic activity took place there that you are going to tax? So that's wrong. The third important thing is that the whole world is moving from a cash society to a cashless society, right? So the whole online thing, Momo, when I came to Ghana, I have to say, I was very impressed at how almost everybody switched from cash to online transactions. So the fact that you're going to tax this, the first thing that came to my mind was, what am I going to do with the project I'm doing in Ghana? I'm just going to wait for when a friend of mine is traveling to Ghana. I'm going to give them cash to take to my brother to finish the project for me. Everybody is going to evade the online, to try to evade that tax. That's what's going to happen.
The evasion part is not, it's not going to be significant because it's not even bearable for you to invade.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, a few people might evade, but people are so used to it, is making life so convenient that the numbers, according to what he's saying, doesn't show that evasion would really impact.
Until you realize how much you are going to be paying on any transfer you make. People are going to find, we are very natural in finding loopholes. That's where we gravitate to. We gravitate to, how can I avoid this? People are going to, I think they underestimated. Thirdly, the black market. The black market is going to boom. Unfortunately, it is going to boom because the tax is not that, it's not, they can find a better way to raise revenue than to, have 3 or 4 different ways of taxing the same money. Okay. Baumia, and by the way, let me just let me just score a cheap shot here. Baumia, who went to Ghana Secondary School. I went to school at the same time as him. I was in St. Charles Secondary School in Tamale. Baumia was in Ghana Secondary School. We both played table tennis for our schools. I met Baumia in a regional competition, and let me just say, I kicked his butt. Okay, this guy is so big on his mouth. His mouth is, it started then, it hasn't stopped, and you can see how everything he said has come back to bite him in the butt. Okay, so this issue of this e-levy, it is not just it's not just digital. It is on remittances. It's on bank transfers. So yes, they have found a way to close all the loopholes. But let me tell you. You say it's people are not going to work very hard to evade it. I think they are, starting with me, because I don't see why I should send $100, $200 for my nephew or niece to pay school fees, and then you tax me for sending it, then you tax her for trying to send it to pay for the fees and all the associated 15 different ways you're going to tax it. I think it's just not very well thought through. And then the last thing I will say is that this is obviously budgets are economic proposals, right? It ought not to come. I would have thought they would have done a focus group and run it by them to see how they reacted, right, before they even introduced it. But they have so be. They have introduced it. It's going to go to Parliament. Parliament is going to debate it and either approve or reject it. If I were a Ghanaian, and my representative in their right mind actually approves this, they immediately should set themselves up for a primary challenge and defeat, because it makes absolutely no sense.
Amuzu, can you hear me? Amuzu, you're on mute, or
you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm saying that in our backyard, it's hard to actually have people actually mount primary challenges because these campaigns are very expensive. So you see somebody voting against it, but nothing will happen to them. But let me switch to Dr. Lawrence quickly and say that This remittance money, about $5.5 billion of it or so it is this year, that pot of money has always been attractive to both political parties. They've all thought about taxing it in one way or the other. It seems like Akufo-Addo government is the only one with the, excuse my words, but with the balls to do it. Do you think the NDC government will change this?
Yeah, Alfred, thank you. And I want to greet all the NDC folks who are listening to us at this moment. And my special greetings to President John Dramani, former President John Dramani Mahama, and his wife, Lodina, and all the NDC executives, starting from Dr. Foswan Pofu down to Aseidun Keta and the rest. You see, let me let Mr. Kossi know that from his presentation, I bet you by the end of this program, Daniel would retract all the recommendations he gave you. Or maybe the recommendations that he gave you. Daniel will retract all of them because
Lori doesn't still know me.
because Daniel will never like what you said, because his government has failed and he wouldn't want anybody to tell him that his government has failed. But you have been bold to tell him that. Okay. Now, you see, Alfred, reading this budget, do you still think Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of Ghana? And do you still think like that? Then Nana Akufo-Addo is still the president of. In fact, I will live in.
Why do you say so? Why do you ask that? What makes you think he's still the president?
Yes, because of the bogus budget they have presented to the people of Ghana.
Okay.
And you wouldn't expect Nana Akufo-Addo to present such a bogus budget.
Explain.
You would have thought Nana Akufo-Addo, who told Ghanaians that they have the men, would bring a budget that is going to help alleviate or soften the burden of the Ghanaian people. And your question is, all these taxes that they've put on it, I mean, governments have come, governments have gone. Nobody was able to do it except Nana Akufo-Addo, this current government. And this is the government who told Ghanaians in 2016 that he's going to move the economy from taxation to production. And this is the same government who has the guts to tax people. And you read the budget, you heard the budget, and Daniel, in fact, confirmed it that the internet age has come to stay, and they've been broadened. And for that matter, the government see that this is the right place to get money. And the right place to get money is not to help expand it, but the little that we have, they are taxing.
It's getting to a point where people are relying so much on it that the data is showing to them that it's become part of everyday life for people. That tax in it will not necessarily see a mass, change in behavior. That people will continue to use it. So it kind of is fact. It's right for taxing. That if they don't do it, you will come to government and probably be the ones to do it.
Alfred, I get that.
So my question is, the NDC. Will this be something
I will come there. I'll come there. When Mr. Kossi was giving his presentation, he said that he's going to stop sending mobile to Ghana because they will task him here. And then when his daughter is going to take it to also momo it to somebody, they will tax her daughter too. So he will find, even if you have to go to the airport and give the money to somebody traveling to Ghana, so the person can give it directly to her daughter, for the daughter to also use the money, the cash, to make that the payment. That's what he's going to do. And of course, I'm also going to do that. Now, NDC, when we come,
okay,
let him go. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
NDC, when we come, we are not going to do the tax that these guys, Bawumia, Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia are doing. We will do it differently. Now, how we will do it, the economics are there. They will take care of that. But like Bawumia told us in 2016 that when they come to power, they are going to manage the economy differently without telling us how they will do it. I am also telling you that we are going to do it differently. I will not tell you how we're going to do it. Vote us to come to power in 2024 and we'll tell you how to do it and we will show you how to do it. But on a serious note, you see, this government does not care about Ghanaians, period. This government of Nana Akufo-Addo, they don't care about Ghanaians. What they care is enriching themselves, enriching their families with taxation. If Eslawusu can tell us that if you send 100 cedis, you are not poor, that should tell you right there that they don't see, they don't see any poor person in Ghana. This government, they don't see any poor person in Ghana. So they think the only way to make themselves rich is to tax people. Whether you make $100, whether you make $200, they see you as a rich person, and so they have to find a way to tax you, to find a way to get something from you, to find a way to push you down,
right? So
that you don't go above where you are. You see, and I remember when the budget was read, one prophet one, he said, "Oh, so this government cannot do anything to alleviate the plight of the Ghanaian people." And that is a very strong statement coming from Ghana's prophet one. After the guy, one of his pastors has told him what this budget is all about in terms of communication. Prophet one says, so this government cannot do anything to alleviate the plight of the Ghanaian people. And that is what we are seeing right now.
Right.
From the Ajinkwa budget, NDC, we call it the Sewa Broni budget. From this Sewa Broni budget that they've read, there is nothing in it that is alleviating the plight of the Ghanaian people. But we thought Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia told us when they come, they are going to reduce the prices of fuel, they are going to reduce the prices of foodstuff.
So they have things in there like, for instance, the suspension of the discount they were giving on the benchmarks, right? That they were giving to importers of products that they would have produced that have been, can be sourced from the country, so that it kind of removes that unfairness in pricing when it comes to the locals competing with the importers, and which is a good thing. So there's that incentive. There is that 3% reduction in the withholding taxes for small scale mining companies to 1.5%, which is an incentive. And this is the one we call I was referring to that as the one to meet us. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. You have these small scale miners who are now channeling their process go through the right channel. So they are breaking the law by doing so. And for you to actually incentivize them, or for you to get them to obey the law, you are reducing their taxes. In other words, you are supporting illegality. No. I mean, you are saying that you had 6 million ounces of gold in 2019 coming through the official system, but this year you had 1 million ounces coming through, and you want to incentivize people routing their goods through the correct channels, so you are reducing their taxes. What they are doing to start with by not taking it through the legal system, the right channels, is illegal. So why would you be supporting that by reducing their taxes? Isn't this one to me tax? Isn't this going just because the MPP is in charge now? They've given all the concessions out. Their people are the ones mining, and therefore they have to find a way to reduce tax on the people who are mining and not taking it through the right channels, but increase tax on people unnecessarily just because they are transferring money.
Go
ahead.
That's what I'm saying. That's these people, this government, all that they have come to do is to enrich themselves, enrich their families, and then at the same time taxing the poor people because they see you as remitting 100 cedis as being rich. You are not poor. Do you understand? So that is the problem we are having right now. I mean, it's unfortunate that this government lied to power. They lost the 2020 election. They found a way to keep themselves there. And now look at the mess that they are creating for the people of Ghana. Look at the mess. And this is why the 2024 is going to be critical, because they will force themselves again, and Ghanaians will just, get them out like, if you're having a balloon and you blow it all the way, it gets to a point that it will burst. It can't go further again. And that is what is going to happen in 2024. Ghanaians cannot contain these hardships anymore from this government. And if they try to impose themselves on the people of Ghana, it will be like a balloon on them. Thank you.
Daniel, how are you going to break?
I was thank you.
How are you going to break the 8 austerity measures?
When we get there.
We were expecting austerity measures to come, but not this much. Right now, you suspended rehiring of retirees to, or giving contracts to retirees. You suspended that. It looks like you are freezing hiring pretty much in the government sector. You are saying that no new offices will be created. For new offices to be created, that there has to be a permission from the Minister of Finance, and then there has to be staff routed from current existing government employees. That the entire government employee or government human resource capacity is going to be reviewed in 2020, which is another way of telling me that people may be losing their jobs. We know there has to be austerity measures, but how do you break the 8 this way?
I'm with you. Forget about the 8. When it comes to the 8, we'll deal with our NDC folks. I always tell them there's time for everything. Don't try and put 5 before 2 and 2, 5 or 2 after 5.
Oh, we know you guys are strategic. So
I always tell my NDC folks, there's time for everything. There's a time to cry, a time to campaign, a time to tell the Ghanaian people our story. So don't rush. 2024 will definitely come. We are all going to be here, and we'll have a story to tell. And you also have a counter story to give the Ghanaian people, and they will evaluate it and they will determine who the right choice is. So I have no difficulties with that. In fact, that is the beauty of democracy. Competitive ideas, competitive politics. And so my father, Mr. Kossi, he shouldn't worry. I like to be challenged on my ideas. That is me. And to the point of what he said, yes, there's an element of truth in the aspect that people will try to evade this. Of course, tell me which tax have people not tried to find ways to evade? There's no tax that when you bring, people don't try to find alternative ways. But I told you that I acknowledge that point. My only counter hypothesis was that the magnitude of the people that will fall out will be less. That is why we call it price inelastic. The advantage on the upside is going to be greater than the disadvantages that is enumerating to us. That is the hypothesis from the government policy proposal. Somebody will come and say, no, I don't agree with that policy proposal. I have another alternative hypothesis. I think that the government is going to lose out more. That is why it is policy. That is why it is politics. Which one do you believe? Which story do you believe? Who has the implementation power? Go ahead with the story that you believe and the confidence with which you believe that hypothesis. And then you implement it. As you implement it, some of these things, the fact that 5% of the people decide not to use it doesn't mean the policy is overall bad. You have to assess the pros and cons, and if the benefit outweigh the negatives, then you are like, okay, I'm in net positive zone here. Let's move on. And like I said, I have my difficulty with the rate. I said it this morning, probably that's what Dr. Lawrence was saying. I think that the 1.75, whatever, it's a little bit on the high side. I'm with you. I think you're saying something. You're on mute.
Yeah, it's huge because, like, I've heard in other places.
Yes. So from my perspective, I think 1.725, starting with, especially because you are starting with the policy, it's a little bit on the high side. And even the $100 or whatever, 100 Ghana cedi, I want them to push it to maybe say 300 Ghana cedi. You get what I'm saying?
They're looking at it from a monthly standpoint. If you make about $3,000,
but I'm looking at it from a daily. I'm looking at it from a daily standpoint because of the context to the environment in which we find ourselves now. COVID has created some natural difficulties, and already, like Mr. Kossi, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Kossi said, our borders are even closed. There are some people whose trade depend on border transactions. Those people, because our land borders are closed. So the circumstance that we find ourselves mean that there's a little bit of difficulty on the Ghanaian people. So pegging it at 100 for me I don't think, from the way where I stand, my professional standpoint, I think it's too low. It should go to 300. And then as things evolve, you review the policy and you see how it's going. With time, you can begin to reduce that when the economy is recovering and COVID is almost under control. Our land borders are opening and full economic has what? Come back on board. Then you can review it. This is why government exists. Calibration is part of the issue of policy making as you take feedback from the people. But Amuzu, the other thing that I have always said is that I think that for me, do you know why I want this tax to come into place? And I don't want the NDC to scrap it, because I want Ghanaians to begin to feel what it means to pay taxes. That way, when a government comes and screams to say it's doing the foolish things, you will not just go and vote with your emotion. You will begin to use your brain to assess those governments. Because most people don't pay taxes, when we talk about corruption, they think it's far away from them. When we talk about misuse of government resources, they think it's far away from them, because they are not part of the critical people who pay the taxes, and they don't see the burden too much on them. If people begin to pay taxes, especially with this tax, that is going to affect many people in the informal sector. When the government is misusing their resources and the government is misbehaving, nobody will tell them that when you go, let your power of the tongue speak. Speak with your brain. Don't speak with your emotion. People will become very, very conscious about government. They will begin to hold governments accountable. It has this indirect effect on the way people assess politicians. And for me, that is something that I see, that if this thing goes through, it's going to change a little bit of the political dynamics and the way people vote across the country. Amos, you are still on mute. You want to say something?
I think people should pay tax by all means, but this tax looks like if I keep transferring my money to somebody and that person is transferring to another person, just by the process of transfers, that we can lose the entire money.
No, Amuju, you are making a wild assumption. Yes, if you assuming that transfer is going to go on indefinitely, at some point, definitely that money will be wiped out. But the assumption that would be unrealistic assumption. The thing that people
it won't. It's just like the chain of transfers. You can transfer to somebody maybe because you're buying something.
No, that's what I'm saying. That is a wild assumption. That is a huge assumption, which I think in the real world that is not a realistic assumption to me.
But you don't make laws that, when stretched, can make it overly burdensome. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. But remember, this transfers, Parliament is going to now iron out the way it's going to be implemented.
But even the thoughts. I mean,
I'll come to the thought. Let me come to the thought. I know. My father said something about what do you call economic activities being taxed. Yeah, that is one aspect of how taxation works. But like I was saying, the backbone upon which this platform exists is government backbone. The fiber optic that the other day Paul DeSoso was on me saying government laid from all the way from northern to southern. It wasn't the private companies that put that in place. It was a government, and that is what these companies are riding on. There's a huge government infrastructure out there that is supporting these telcos.
And I'm sure the government charges the profits generated by this.
I'm coming there.
I'm sure the government even charges, the charges.
I'll come there.
The government charges.
I'll come there. I'll come there. Explain the economics of what I think is going on here, and anybody can disagree with me. That is why it's a panel discussion. What I think is going on here is that what government is charging is like a service. You are using that platform, so more or less they are taxing the use of that platform. So it's like a service charge. But like you said, the telcos already are doing this charge, right? Why are they charging us for using up that platform? Because they have to maintain the platform and recoup the investment in those platforms. So the telcos are doing it. I think government strategy, from where I sit, I don't know what this is not me speaking for government. This is my professional analysis of what I'm seeing here. What government is doing is the 1.17, 1.75 is to force the telco to absorb some of those fees. So that because now they are charging you 1%, by this fee, the telcos, because of the pricing elastic thing, they will be mindful about transferring the full cost of this fee to the consumer. And the telcos will begin to maybe review down their charge to absorb or to bring in some of those government charges so that they can be competitive. That, for me, is what I call a game theory approach that government is trying to play on these telcos by what it is trying to do here, thinking that the telcos will automatically absorb this fee and then reduce the cost and not transfer. It's not likely that will play out, but that is one scenario, possibly game scenario that could play out. And depending on how the telcos react, it will have a different outcome altogether. So yes, Amuzu, we are in difficult times. No two ways about that. Our people, there's some stress in the system. and prices are going up, like because COVID has come and it has come with implications. And government at this point who doesn't have the luxury to keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. At some point, you have to pause. The deficit that we got because of the COVID was 12 point something percent. That was a huge one. That is a big hole. That hole over time, you need to manage that. And
15%, as if you factor in the
15.6, Alfred. It should not be.
Okay, 15, whatever that amount is. The point is that it's still a huge amount.
I'm saying it's 15.6. Don't
that's fine.
Clean up and the bank bailout.
You don't dwell on form. Dwell on the substance of what I'm saying. I can even say it's 20%. What I'm telling you is that it's still a big deficit amount or hole that needs to be filled up. You get what I'm trying to say? And government is trying to, I would say, aggressively front load that before 2024 comes.
But people, they don't trust this government on the basis that they've had the most loans and they don't have anything to show for it. So giving money in the hand of this government that you are not likely to see anything for it is the wrong organization to entrust with a lot of funds. That the World Bank gave how many billions, 1 billion or so towards during the COVID times, and there's so much that it's unaccounted for.
I'm with you. The other day I told you that there's soft infrastructure and hard infrastructure. Until Mahama left 2 years into our government, did you see some of those Mahama projects? You began to see them 2 years into our government. Then you began to see some of those Mahama projects coming to full completion. So yes,
so you're saying that there are projects that
there will be projects. If tomorrow the MPP government is not there and the NDC is there, some of our projects will begin to mature in their time. So some of these things,
5 years we're gonna see some projects spring up, right?
Of course, Mahama project didn't all finish up in his time. I mean, so these are things that will take time to show up in terms of what. So when people say that, yes, now they can't see the full fruit of it, that is understandable. But like I said, these things will mature eventually. And like he said, when you tell me that the government has borrowed, I just want to let people think about this. How come that Akufo-Addo government, if they were doing that bad, has borrowed so much, have this deficit, but has not found the need to go to an IMF bailout? And our NDC folks did not borrow that much and went to an IMF bailout.
IMF bailouts right now. The only reason, I mean, it doesn't even make sense that they are not there now.
But I'm telling you, that is how economics. That is why
you can have these fucking points.
No, that is how economics. I tell you that there's an art and there's a science. How come that we are not in IMF with all the pandemic and everything? But the NDC didn't have pandemic. They didn't have anything, and yet they just borrow like somebody said. They didn't borrow as much as we have borrowed, and they ended up in IMF.
Okay, let's. But I know for sure that
let Paul Disoso come and answer. Paul Disoso, full for thought for you.
I know for sure that the NDC had some troubles. Commodity price, like you said, tumbled. They were not having a lot of oil at the time. They had to go to the IMF. But today, the recommendation from the IMF even is that we should be with them right now. And instead of going to the IMF, we are going to bully our people to death.
Alfred, I'm going to answer the question. Alfred, let me answer the question for him.
Paul, let me come.
Alfred, let me answer the question for him.
I wouldn't have had to come in before, but
no, Paul, let me come in. I'm with you. Let me tell you one thing. I'm an economist. I understand most of our economy. We are net importers. When we say somebody's a net importer, do you know what is oil? We are net importers of oil. So when the price of oil goes down, that is when it favors us. That is what I'm telling you. And this is why people just come and they say, "Oh, we are exporting oil. The price of oil, but we are not net on net. We are net importers."
What's the percentage of oil in our GDP?
Pardon?
What is the percentage of oil in our GDP?
I don't know. I don't think it's
minimal. It's
minimal. And again, we are net importers of oil. So when oil prices go down, it should favor us either. When oil prices go down, it should favor us because we're net importers.
I think Daniel don't understand the economy of Ghana. Daniel, let me tell you today.
Okay, I wanted the fact to come in.
No. Let me clarify this issue that if I come in. Number one, the oil production in Ghana. As I said in 2016, there was an issue with the Kwame Nkrumah oil field. So the field was closed for 9 months. And 9 months without producing oil, 8,000 barrels a day was affecting us. Let me also put it on record that as much as market prices of oil came down, okay, we were not even producing oil. So we couldn't even get that revenue, that little revenue that we were expecting. So let's set that record straight. Number two, he said, how come they've not gone to IMF? It is on record as we speak that they went to Roadshow to go and borrow money. nobody is ready to borrow money to them because their economic fundamentals are so weak in such a way that they are a high risk. Nobody is ready to borrow money to them as we speak. For him thinking they will not go to IMF is just a matter of time. They will go to IMF and go and beg for money because as now, the last time they went on the market to go and borrow money, nobody was ready. Nobody was. We were in the negative. People were seeing us as high risk country, whereby if they borrow money to us, we will not be able to pay. So for him to come and sit here,
they haven't actually even gotten the 3 billion they plan to get this year yet, right? I know this budget has promised another 750.
Amuju, in economics or in trading, there's called something we call market timing. The time that you go into the market matters a lot. So what Paul Dichoso is saying, you can go into a market at a particular time where investor sentiment around the globe or on your economy is not right. And if you go in there and you try to
raise, this is not about market timing, right? It's your debt portfolio that is kind of telling people that you have so much debt, so we are
overly leveraged, but all the other fundamentals compared to the time we left, the NDC left, it's better than
they are making a decision based on your leverage. Forget about the other fundamentals.
That is what I'm saying. Amuju, they are making it based on the leverage now, so they will have to adjust their risk profile and risk appetite with time.
But until you pay down some debt, and
that's what I'm saying. With time, it will settle in. And so I'm putting a challenge to Paul Dichoso. He's saying that we're going to go to IMF, right? And I'm telling him that we are not going to go because we have a better way of managing these things. So let's put the bet.
You're going to beat it out of the people, huh? You're going to just
let's put the bet here. And Paul Dichoso, we have 3 years out, right? Let's see if the IMF prediction will come through based on your hypothesis.
Okay, I know for sure that this government, they're definitely not going to go. They just don't want to go to the IMF to make a point, even if it has to be that they will tax the people to death. But let's bring Afai in. Afai, you've been quiet on there. You will listen to everybody else. I've seen so many memes of Baumia to where
he's not coming to play mischief this evening.
Yeah, all the things
he has gotten briefing from the Flagstaff house. Mischief from the Flagstaff house. You should not come and play a mischief this evening for the Jubilee House. They get them fake information. You should not put it on this platform this evening.
Okay. So the government promised that they will go for 750 million at some point in 2022, and they have the option to go for another 750 million. So of course the borrowing is going to continue. There seems to be something wrong, especially when we have the economic vice president who gave us all these theories that he's going to do all these things and move the economy at a pace that we've never seen before. It looks like it's all falling apart. Efa, what is your briefing from the Jubilee House?
Thank you very much, Alfred. And Paul is always want to get on me. And thank you very much. There's something that I'm getting from all that we are doing here. We love our country and we think that the country should go towards a particular direction. Which direction is that? We want to see employment. We want to see that the monies that we collect through taxes, the monies that we've been borrowing are put into good use. And that at the end of the day, we are able to manage all these things in such a way that, we feel that we are part of all this development and all these aspirations that we set ourselves to. And everyone is right. You see, where the problem is, it's easy to say than to do, and stuff like that. Now, before I answer your question on borrowing, right? You see, Alfred, sometimes when we make statements, then we tend to kind of confuse listeners. On one hand, we say that, oh, we left you with all these oil, blah, 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 oil blocks and blah, blah. And then on another hand, we're going to say, oh, oil revenue is very minimal as far as the GDP of the country is concerned, blah, 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 blah. So what are we trying to say? Okay, so that is that. Sometimes it's just so confusing. Now, before I take on the borrowing, right, all these issues about taxation.
Those two things can exist, right? We can leave you a lot of oil, which means that, at the time we were getting about how many barrels? Less than 200,000 barrels.
Okay,
But now you're
Then
getting
go to Kufuor's time when there was no oil production, and then compare that economy so that we can talk. So if Paul is coming here and say, "Oh, we were getting less from oil because of blah blah blah," then compare your economy to Kufuor's and not to ours now. But that is why you can.
He's making a point that, let's say, almost close to zero oil production, but they still were able to do 3.4. Commodity prices were down, but they still were able. The commodity prices are actually a driving factor.
They were able to do 3.4 from what?
3.4 with low 3.4% GDP growth rate.
3.4 growth rate, including oil and
from where? What did you inherit? Anyway, so that is that. No, what I'm trying to say is that, okay, so you saying there's a lot of oil, and then another time you say, oh, oil is very small as far as our GDP is concerned. I mean, you're just confusing the listeners out there. Now, this issue with taxation and stuff like that, you see, what I'm hearing as far as this, you see, so budget is government proposal, just as Mr. Kossi. I don't know if it's a Dr. Kossi or Mr. Kossi, but forgive me if I don't give you the right title. Mr. Thank you.
PhD.
I think the doctor is in a way. So, Mr. Kossi, you know, this issue of taxation proposal have been made. What I'm hearing is, oh no, right? Oh no. Not what? That we should scrap the whole thing, or you think that there should be a particular percentage that should be on there. You know, we have to say something to it and say no. You see, the Momo sector is growing, just as Dan said. Now, I don't know about this year, if we finish with what we have so far, but 2020 was almost $100 billion. 100 billion. And it is a way that government can get small, can get something over there to be able to support our development efforts.
But you're talking about 100 billion as though 100 billion is circulating in the system. That is just people transferring money that has already been transferred. You transfer money to me, I transfer money to you.
Okay, so that one, yeah. So that's not the case. I mean, let us not do. We all do transfer. What you are saying?
If I 1 second, what Amuju, the point that Amuju raised, I think needs to be Amuju in economics. We call something velocity of money, right? When we say velocity of money, is just the number of times
the money multiplied effect is replicated.
So if you know the velocity of money, you can just divide whatever the total transaction is by that velocity of money, and that gives you a fair idea about these numbers, the base, what number we are talking about here. So
yeah, but at the same time,
sometimes when I hear people say these things, I get a little bit worried, but it's fine. It's because maybe people don't understand the math that went into coming out with
no, I mean, when he says the 100 billion, he's trying to create a quantum in people's mind. And so, I mean, my mother, who's probably watching this show, doesn't know velocity of money. But I don't want to put in her head that there is 100 billion in the system flowing around.
That's why we as communicators don't communicate those technical things. We just say something that will make you understand what we're trying to communicate.
I'm trying to make sure that it's not going out that way. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah. Thanks for chipping in those things. It's fine. So of the 100 billion, we don't know the one that goes through the velocity, right? We don't know. Unless you can tell me that maybe 10% of it goes through. Now, this case we are talking about, I'm going to pay school fees, I pay to this, pay to this, pay to this. You see, we don't do transactions like that. Huh? You go and pay the school fees to your mother pays, your mother momo it to your sister momo it to the child momo it to the school. What is all these transactions? And it doesn't work like that. And don't do that if you do that. Okay? You can momo it straight to the school. Why not? Why not? Why are we coming up with all these stuff like that? And then we use these things to take off the order we are saying. All that I'm getting from all these things is that the percentage is higher. So maybe reduce it. But reduce it to what? That is what we need, because these are proposals. It's going to pass. And once it passes, then it will be implemented. So as we speak, I think that we should come up with maybe, just as Daniel said, maybe the $100 is 100 Ghana cedis is too small, right? So push it to 300. Let us begin to chip in those things. other than no. You see, we say no, and then the 10 passes. And then, hey, and then we go in. And then someone is going to come, they're not going to change it. And they won't change this. Haven't you seen it before? What did they say? What did they say about oil when they come to power? Mills. Where you about to do? They mounted it, they increased it. What did Muhammad not say? Please don't cry, because we the number of people that are paying this. So we complain when we are in, but when outside, all the political parties does it. Outside, then we play the saint, and then the people buy it. And that is why I agree with Mr. Kossi. And I also agree with Daniel. You see, the way we participate in politics, the way we participate in governance, we are on the wrong direction. We seem to be complaining about something, and then they have their way, and then we go back to sleep, and then another one hits us. Right. Okay? And that is where, you see, we all need to ask the critical questions, some of which are being asked right now. Right? That the loans, what are we using them for? These taxes, where is it going to go? Now, if we have a country where people are not paying taxes, say between 10 to 30% or whatever, Muhammad said 30, the finance minister said just less than 10%. So how do we increase it? Which area do we look at? And all these things boil down to data that we've not collected. So how do you really track people when you have to do the works? People gotta go and check on people's property and all that. And we have not put the infrastructure in place. So we can always complain. At the end of the day, so long as we have not put the structures in place to widen the tax net, to bring in the people that are really paying.
The NDC put together a legal regime in 2015 that they, actually acknowledge in this budget, which is which is a way to simplify tax payments. Forms were developed and everything. You are now thinking about executing it 5 years into your government. We know the real problem with revenue mobilization is compliance, that people are not paying. There are several people in the informal sector who are employed who, if they were making sales of more than $500,000, should be paying some tax. We are not enforcing all this, and that's where the real problem is. It's like the lazy approach is to task non-economic activities, and we are saying that. And I hope the NDC will come and make a statement on this, because I am having a feeling within me that even they would not change this when they come into power. But the point is, what we are tasking is the laziest. It's never done in anywhere. I've never seen, unless you know something I don't know, tell me where in the world are this type of transactions charged or tasked?
So when you do your Western Union and all these transactions that you get charged, what sort of charges are they? It goes to the company?
Western Union charges you your
transaction fee.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Ghana, you shouldn't be charged any transaction fee.
You're already being charged a transaction fee.
Okay. So Western Union does not pay anything to the government based on what they charge.
The Western Union pays to governments on their profits, on the interest. Okay. The charges that they charge you, government takes a cut of that. Government takes a percentage of that. But we are saying the government is going to be taking those things. In addition to that, the government want 1.7%, 1.75% from you. So
the whole thing is that the government trying to mobilize funds, right? I believe in widening the tax net, but these are tax proposals. Me sitting here, you can call it. You can call it lazy approach or whatever you want, but so long as we have not widening the tax net, we have not finished collecting the data, we have not put all these other extra taxes in place, these are the means government is going to use. I'm mentioning transaction to the tune of 100 billion. And come on now, government will look at that aspect and charge it. And what I'm expecting from all of us is to tell the government what they think is reasonable and which is not going to come, because we love the politics of it. And the politics won't help us in any way. Now, so when it comes to borrowing, yes, we're going to continue to borrow. We are the borrowing. I agree with all of us. Is on the higher side. we're going to be borrowing for a while until we dip down and stuff like that, right? So what I'm expecting government to do is continue to manage this debt in such a way that we are getting value for all these things that we are doing. Now, a very important thing.
We are not doing anything substantial. We borrow the money.
That I disagree. That I disagree, right? Okay, so we borrowing these things, but Omia said we're going to move from
budget or what? What are you disagreeing with? What is in the budget? The budget says all the money we are borrowing, we are using for consumption, paying interest, and salaries. That's it.
No. We are not using all our money for consumption. That's not true. How are we funding our infrastructure?
You know the percentage of do you know how much we are spending on infrastructure? Did you look in the budget?
How much are we spending on our infrastructure?
Did you look at the budget? I'll pull it out for you. We're spending less than 2% of our GDP on infrastructure. So you can tell me you're borrowing all this money, you're spending 2%. So you know what they are using the money for, and your brother here can tell you. So if I don't say that.
Okay, some of the money that we're borrowing are going to go into infrastructure. Okay, so it is not that we're going to borrow and consume. No, that's not true. Okay,
yeah, that's what it's been so far. But anyway, I didn't.
But let me quickly dive into production, which Baumia said, and we're taking it out of context. You see?
Yeah, I want you to make that short so that we
can.
Yeah,
you may make the argument that he has deviated from what, but that is not what it is the case. Now, the fact that even when it comes to this Momo transaction, there's a cap. It means that yes, they're still thinking about people that are really, really down there that needs to be helped somehow. But you also agree with me that government has not abandoned the project of adding value to the things we have in the country, like cocoa. How many of our cocoa we can add value to, in addition to other stuff. And the factories that are springing up in various parts of the country. All these things are ways that we're going to industrialize the economy, in addition to digitization and all these data collection, so that, we can move the economy from relying on borrowing towards, going into relying on ourselves in a very minimal way, but and then gradually grow it over time. We can't just all of a sudden shift because we don't have the capacity right now. But there's that conscious effort that we industrialize, and based on that, we can do away with some things and stuff like that. When we import everything, what do you expect us to do? And we have people building factories before they think of raw material. What do you expect? So these are the things that affect the economy. And we cannot grow with that type of mindset. Unless we have people that are coming and really will put the policies and measures in place to take off.
Okay.
Mr. Ifa, you've been in power for 5 years. Don't talk like you are in opposition. Okay.
Let's move on. So another thing that was in the budget, which it's popular, it's the zero tolls rate that has been proposed to take effect immediately. In other words, there will be no more tolls on the roads, but that infrastructure in one way or the other will be paid for by all these other levies that has been introduced. And I want to take Mr. Nutekpor first on this one. Mr. Nutekpor, you've also heard that part of the budget. What are your views on this? Do you think it's about how we play this? And in my mind, I'm like, if you're going to actually be championing digitization, it would have been best to have the digital readers and have maybe easy passes distributed, or have easy passes as a thing that people can acquire and put in their account, pay in advance, so that you don't lose that revenue just because you're trying to clear pollution or people off the road or make it safe. So what are your views on this? I think Dr. Lawrence is trying to go first on this one.
No, I was going to say, why don't you let the politicians box ourselves, and then you ask them to come and cool down the temperature.
Okay, no problem.
Because if you ask him to come first, then the politicians will fight and blood will be flowing here.
I hear you. Okay, so why don't we go with Daniel first on this?
Actually, I can go if you want me to.
Well, we want to reserve you for the last, so you can be the judge.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So yeah, I'm with you. I might listen. So thank you for the
Yeah, so
opportunity.
you take
Yeah,
this one
I'm with
first.
you. I think that the government, that whole thing, I think government is going to take it from when you go to renew your roadworthy. I think they are increasing the fees there.
They're
So
increasing the fees everywhere, actually.
right. So I don't think so. It's road tolls that is meant for people like you and I who don't have cars that might be driving in somebody's car. But for all the drivers, if only they go and renew their, what do you call it, roadworthy licenses or whatever license at DVLA, they will
Mhm.
they'll be faced with some increased price. So government is going to collect it from that point. But I'm with you on the issue
But
of the
even that
toll.
is still inefficient, right? Because what you would expect is pay by
I'm with-
using. So if I'm not using the bridge, why should I be paying? And I mean, if I'm in town,
no,
why should I be paying for
with
a
you.
bridge?
It's not the same. It's not the same toll that is going to be. It's not the same toll fee that is going to be collected there. It's just general increases in fees for those services. That is like, it's not one to one like the way you are. It's not because to say they are transferring that fee $1 to. But I'm telling you, the
So
government is
this whole
increasing
promise
those.
by Baumia that all you need to do is tow the roads, so you can build the roads and maintain them. You are saying that right now we need to again tax the whole country just so we can build specific roads that roads can pay for themselves. We already have PPP agreements with other organizations that will be building roads that needed to be towed in order to pay for those specific. You're saying that the government is just going to collect those money through the renewals of people's licenses or roadworthy. Oh, I think this guy's frozen again. Daniel,
he's frozen. Can I come in?
Okay.
Can I come in?
Sure, come in, Paul.
Okay, so you see, it was so interesting that when you asked Ifa about the consumption, he ran away from the consumption question. Ifa, you know that the consumption, what you are using the money for, you use the money to chop wache. That's what you guys are using the money for. So I'm telling you, if you don't know, wache and kinky. That is why the finance minister held a party and he was eating wache and then people enjoying kinky. So that is what you are using the money for. That's by the side, that's by the night side.
No, they are using the money to fly in the air.
Paul is also doesn't want me to speak today, so my internet is just going off and off. He's a network engineer. You come and fix my something for me, so I can talk.
Paul, would you yell to Daniel because Daniel has to go?
Yeah. So yeah, Paul, thank you, my co-panelist for the understanding. So Amuzu, I think the economics of how we toll our roads, I mean, it's problematic because there's a reason, there's an economics for towing roads. You get what I'm trying to say? When I say an economics for towing roads, you just don't tow road because you just want to generate revenue for revenue's sake. No.
Right.
You see, in economics, we say that when you are levying people on something, they must see the equivalent benefit. That is how people naturally are motivated to pay taxes. You get what I'm trying to say? But oftentimes, the way we tow our roads, I don't think we look at the economics of what we are doing. We just do it because we want to raise revenue. And that is why people will come and tell you that, oh, we are paying tolls on this road, but our roads are bad. They are potholes. Does it even make sense that you tow a road and there are only potholes on that road? Like, you confuse the public. You confuse the tax people.
I think you are also confusing the argument, though. Towing should be separated from the use of the money. So you can say because we are not efficiently using the money.
No. The towing, the way we tow, the concept of towing a road, the traditional concept of towing a road is because it provides you some faster, time, to use that road. That is the reason why the big toll, like all the tolls that you see, they are providing you good road so that the time that you spend can be very fast and you have fast lanes. That is the reason why you are more or less paying people for saving time. People are paying you for saving them time. That is the concept behind towing a road traditionally.
So you would have introduced technology for that, right?
That is what I'm saying. You could have, but that is a medium-term thing. You have to get a company, outsource a contract to them, let them do that. That will take some time, right?
It's 5 years.
So that your policy alternative, yes, is something.
MVP government.
5 years.
Your policy alternative is something that
this is just something they thought of, or this has been part of.
No, but even with that, if you have to tow it, you don't have to put it at Kaswa, because at the time that we put the toll at Kaswa was not as developed as it is today. It wasn't a communal; it was a little bit outskirts. So if you need to even tow the road, it has to be outside of the places that it is now. Take it a little bit, outskirts, and put the tolls there. and then, like you said, put that electronic thing out there. But currently, what it is inefficient. It is creating a lot of indirect costs to the public and to all of us. So even though we are collecting the money, the indirect costs.
Let's say the previous administration didn't do it well.
I'm not blaming anybody here. I'm saying that at the time that we were towing these places, those places had not grown up the way they are today. Today, many people live in those places. They've almost become.
So I'm saying, how long does it take to actually get a contract awarded, to get a contractor to go there and put in the digital equipment we need so that we can advance the digital agenda?
I'm with you. Like I said, you need like here we have a digital, everybody has an easy pass, right? You need a company to set up that, and then now your Momo works. So people can easily pay, go online and pay these things like they pay their ECD bill. So that system should be, it's feasible, it's doable, right? But like I said, government, that is a medium-term thing. If government wants to do that in the future, that is fine, it's still open. But what I'm saying is that even if they want to tow the road, they shouldn't put the tows at the existing place. They need to push it a little bit, out of town. Like, you get what I'm trying to say. So if you want to tow the Kumasi road, don't put the tow where it is now. Take it a little bit beyond, maybe in Sawam, and then people know that you are towing them for the highway of driving from Accra to Kumasi, but not in the middle of a town like we have it. It doesn't make sense. In this town, do you see people towing in the middle of like busy community areas? Tows are on highways. There's a reason why they are on highway, because people are paying for the two double lanes that you create, or one lane, and then that's the economics of it. So that's what I'm saying. But I know eventually in the long term, that option of towing the roads, it will come back on government agenda. Our government are always looking for money. You think that they will leave that route out? It's just a short term that they are getting away with it. Eventually, towing of our roads will come back either through some private partnership agreements. Right. Or government will say, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to give it to some private person, construct the road and put your toll there, and let me regulate how you collect the money. So that option is not really off the table. It's going to come. Just that I'm telling you that it's going to be a medium term, because now government is.
I think you should probably be the one reading the budget, because you know more than the things they have included in the budget.
They can't pay me. That is how they can't pay me. That is how I'm here. If I go there, they can't pay me. That is how I'm here.
I think if they have all these other plans, they should put it in the budget so we know what they're talking about. You just can't say a scrap toll. Daniel telling me
you allow Daniel to come and throw that into our eyes.
Yeah, Daniel is trying very hard, but I'm saying, some of this Daniel is saying is off the book, right? Because you have the opportunity to say it on the books.
Daniel should wait and listen to this thing before he goes. The decision they took, they check knee reaction decision, lazy man approach decision, unprofessional decision, incompetent decision, and indecisive decision. That's what they did. Why am I saying so? Well, towing of roads, okay? What do we use those money for? Those money are part of the money that contributes to the revenue that the country generates. It's on record that a whole year they are able to get 70 million Ghana cedi from the road tolls in the whole country. That's what they've said. They put it on record. Now, the question over here is, if you have any plan of moving the toll from all the roads, why won't you take your time, engage stakeholders, bring the private sector on board, give it out to the private sector, private government partnership, build a toll, do it electronic, let's get a pass for people, because now Momo is easy in Ghana. Everybody can get it. Let's get a pass for people. People should put it, and people will apply those passes. As soon as your credit finished, it should alert you automatically. If you don't pay and you don't top up, when you are going to do your roadworthy at the end of the year, you'll be charged maybe 30%.
But a question in our chat here is asking that, what about those? Regina is saying.
Let me finish.
The cars coming from Togo and Cote d'Ivoire crossing.
No, that's what I'm coming. That's what I'm coming to. So whereby you do this thing. So let's say if my brother Daniel, his money on the toll card is run out, and he does not top it up, and he goes through the toll. At the end of the year, when he is going to do his roadworthy, renew his roadworthy, which is done every year, you pay 30% surcharge. When you put that surcharge on it and put that cross on it, everybody will make sure that they will go through the price process
use the e-switch, whatever they're going to put on their car. As soon as it finishes, they'll top up.
Right.
Now, you have removed all the road tolls. Let's put it on record that the big trucks that spoils our road are most from Nigeria, Togo, Ivory Coast, and Burkina Faso. Now that you've removed the road toll, how are those people going to be taxed? You see, this super incompetent government, they don't think through before they put up policies. This is a bad policy. They should go back and review it. They can get some free consultation from me, and I'm ready to give it to them because of my good friend Ifa. I'll do it for them.
All right.
And I think the time has come for Ifa and people like Daniel who are outside here to, try as much as possible to, cancel their people behind the scene. This is a knee reaction decision they took. Just because they think and they knew that because of the draconian taxes they placed on the good people of Ghana, they are trying to, create impression to them as if they love them. That's why they've taken those tolls out. That those tolls are not going to do anything for the people. But the people are saying that take the excessive taxes on petroleum. That's what they are talking about. ESLA, which Akufo-Addo and Ifa and Daniel and his people went on demonstration against. And ESLA was supposed to expire in 2017.
5 years. It's a 5-year program.
2017. What have they done? They've extended it. This is how hypocritical these people are.
I hear some of the bonds are now going all the way to 2035.
Exactly. This is how shameful these people are. Things that they will fight against it, they will come and they will use it. So for me, this toll issue, they should really look at it again, because the people who spoils our road very much are those big trucks from the neighboring countries. How are they going to tax them? How? Because they don't do their roadworthy in Ghana, unless there's going to be a way and means whereby if they get into the border, they will put a process over there to tax them from the border. And if they will do that, then that's okay. But for me, it's going to be very, unfair not to tax those people who are rather using big trucks, destroying our roads, and putting the burden on the common Ghanaian. Then let me also put it on record that per the budget that they read, when you are going to renew your roadworthy, I think you're going to pay 7.6%. I'm not sure. But the percentage that you're going to pay is huge. It's huge.
Right.
It's huge. So let's.
They are revising all the fees and charges for government services, and then they will increase it this year. But then they are trying to peg it to inflation going forward. So,
sure. So let's see. So this what I'll say to Daniel. So this is a lazy man approach.
I think I agree. I share some of those concerns about the foreigners, right? The because look at our ports have become very heavily being used by this inland in Burkina Faso, Mali, and they come with these big trucks, right? So that is why I said the economics of towing. You have to understand the economics of towing. Towing is not just.
There's a train line in construction, right? There's a train line in construction.
But they've been taking care of them, so that does not worry ourselves with those coming in from the border. If
I had to take care of them, how are they going to take care of them?
I don't know. They haven't told me that. I don't know.
There's nothing in the budget that says.
Okay, so if you listen to the press conference that the deputy finance minister put out, he was asked that question. Of the foreign cars that are coming in, and they say, and then he said they will be charged at the borders. So they don't necessarily have to. And also to add on to this, if you add on to all that you guys are saying, you see, the whole point of the toll is that it was not fair to the poor because it was in poor neighborhoods. The toll in the country were in poor neighborhoods. That is number one. Number two were the other reasons that they've been given, that the amount is insignificant compared to the economic loss.
Right.
So as a government, the government makes policy, and these are all proposals, right? Like I said, these are all proposals. At one time, there was the other toll levy that we booted out. We said we didn't want it, right? There was a contract that was signed and blah, blah, blah. Right. So these are all policy directives.
That is to tow broken cars, broken vehicles from the road.
Exactly. Ghanaians kicked against it and it was pushed away, So if the NDC feels strongly that, you see me, I initially when I heard it, I objected. But when I listened to what the deputy finance minister, it is true. Now let's take the tomato boot, right? Tomato boot. You know, you don't assume that everybody using it around there is capable of paying. They are forced to pay because it's there. And there are a lot of poor people living around, you know, those enclaves.
I mean, the poor people are not driving private cars, right? They are all in commercial cars, and it's commercial vehicle paying it. So it's again divided. Unless you're saying the poor people they are driving.
Okay, unless of course you also want to tell me that commercial trucks are also operated by rich people and stuff like that. We don't have the statistics, right? So you can always all these monies, right? Just as we have all said, all these monies can be collected somehow without citing it in those areas. We have to have, if we want to do it, we have to do it differently than it's currently done because it wasn't thought through, and it's not really helping with the neighborhoods where they are. Correct. You know, it's really not, and that idea I buy, but I also share with Daniel that these things is going to come out somehow. I don't know when. It may not be our government, but somehow these road tolls will find its way back into our. Right? But that is not what is on the table. If we strongly believe that where it is, it's okay. It is not against any poor person. You know, that has to be objective. That it is good. It is okay. Let's keep it. It gives us other economic activities other than just the money we are collecting. And that people are crying that it helps them, blah, 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 with this. Okay, so go ahead. But, you know, previously, there has been a demonstration against all these tolls and it's going up and all that. But all of a sudden, no, we still need it. What do we want, right? What do we want? Make our case and then we move forward on that. But, I mean, I think it should go. And if we really want to do it, we have to find a way to do it too, so that we know that we are really collecting from people that are really affecting our road and not these things. For instance, the people that are using these big trucks, you know, we can find a way to charge them at the ports, right? Not necessarily through the tolls. We can add some additional fees when they come and
at the port. What if they just take something from Nigeria and drove it all the way through to Cote d'Ivoire?
And they're passing through Ghana. Okay, so they said they'll deal with them at the.
I think it's appropriate for them to be either paid at the port, at the customs, and what do you call
any point of contact, point of contact where they get into the country. Yeah, let's find a way to get them. But, and then in the future, if we want to do it, we have to make it efficient, other than the way we do it through the human face with all these. But the money that they've declared, the 74 million Ghana cedis that they've declared, this is official. Now you can imagine the unofficial. Because there will definitely be another official to it, because the human beings are dealing with it. You know, they pick and choose how much they want to declare. You know, so in the future, if we really want to, I don't have a problem with the cancellation. I don't, right? But we are, you know, I don't decide on the approval. So we can all make our case and contribute towards the discussion. But it is also important that as you take from here, you cushion here, so that people feel easy, not take all around.
Okay, good. So I'm only surprised that, you know, the party people are not so angry, because that's the first thing they do once the election is over, and the party, whichever party win, the first thing they do is they go to the toll booths and take over. Anyway,
Alfred, can I come in? I'm going to have to leave soon.
Sure.
I was just going to say, I don't wish I was the communication director for the MPP right now. But I will have to say that Daniel and Efa are doing very well. I like the fact that you are not towing straight party lines. It is important for our country. One of the things I used to say about Trump, when Trump was in power, I used to go to church, and most of the church members, you know, it was white church. Most of them were Trump supporters, right? Everybody knew that Trump told verifiable lies. Okay, you don't even have to blink. He just said something on video yesterday, and today comes and say he didn't say it. You could see him tell verifiable lies. By my friends from church, you know, note the church part, would defend this guy and wouldn't be willing to say he told a lie. Okay. Once you are on that stage, what do I have in common with you? So I appreciate you guys, not towing straight party lines. We Ghanaians, we need to be smarter. And because if you don't tell the people the truth, how are they going to change? You are just, Mr. Daniel and Efa, we are all here in the States, right? What are you getting? I'm probably sure you're not getting anything directly from the MPP. So why isn't it beneficial to tell the MPP that what they are doing is not correct? So I actually appreciate some of the answers you gave. Doing something just because you can, it's never a good policy, right? And that we had that in the e-levy debate. Right. Just because you can do it, just because it's a low-hanging fruit, that doesn't help the country. So if I was asking what is wrong with it, it is fundamentally unfair. Even if you tax, even if I am sending the money to my nephew, and they pay to send it to their school to pay the fees. Even if it is just one, it is not fair. There is an unfairness there. And secondly, Daniel alluded to it. It is way too high, right? It is, you couldn't bring yourself to say the high word. It is too high. Why don't you start it, at 0.25 and just edge it up a little bit as you see, because it is really going to hurt the banking sector. Right. It is. I'm glad most of you here are economists. It is going to end up hurting. But let's come to there is a reason that most economies around the world do not multiple tax. The death tax. The death tax in this country, the death tax is money I have, willed to my children, right? You taxed it when I made it. I give it to my children. You tax it again. There's a reason most people agree it is a bad idea. This is exactly what this e-levy does. Okay, let's go to the toll thing. Yes. So the purpose of actual tolls, and in Ghana these days, you almost have to check yourself to make sure that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. The reason tolls are taken is for road maintenance, right? That is fundamentally, that's what tolls are set up for. And that's why they are usually set up right after a bridge or right before a bridge, because it costs to maintain all this stuff. So the fact that we are not using it to do that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. Okay, that's a good use. So all we needed to do was keep it, maybe, take it outside the areas that we had them. When I was in Ghana for 2 years, I lived in Kasua. Let me tell you, it used to take me, I used to wait. My brother lived in Ofanko. I used to, when I would go into town, I would go to my brother and wait until it was 9 p.m.
Traffic died down, yeah.
Yes, 9 p.m. before I start driving to Kasua. It was crazy. But, so yes. So come up with the right approach. So on the e-levy, we are all of a sudden concerned. We're not concerned about the poor. On the toll issue, we are so concerned about the poor. So we're gonna. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So just pay somebody to do due diligence, right? Mr. Alfred, you said it. Mr. Baumia, let me go back to my good friend Baumia. He is the one who goes and stands in front of the public and talks big. You know, he wants everybody to know he's an economist. We are going to have a digitalization economy. We're going to have a production economy. The dollar will expose you. All these big stuff. This is what the man has been. I know him. That's why I was taking a cheap shot at him, but this is what this man is. So if digitalization makes your government look good, why don't you use it to take care of this toll problem, the congestion at the toll?
It looks like this is the right time.
Yes, this is actually the right time. Keep one lane for cash and keep 2 lanes for the digital. And we can actually do it. We can put the stuff in front of the cars and they can all drive through, you know. So you may say, Alfred, when I started talking about the e-levy, you said, so where should they go and get money? If you're looking for a place to get extra money and you're getting rid of some of the, you know, the stuff, because it doesn't, you know, what was the code they gave? I think 72 million. It's only 72 million is going to be lost because we canceled the tolls. Really? That's important, right?
And they assume that the loss, the convenience they are going to experience is way better, is more than the 72 billion.
Exactly. You don't need to scrap the one. You're looking for money, get it from everywhere. So it is the same kind of mentality that closes in my earlier segment, the same type of mentality that closes and keeps the second most profitable source of revenue for this country, the Aplao border, right? Let's go close it. Let's keep it closed because we're afraid of COVID, people coming from Togo with COVID, right? And the second most important, and then you are going to say, so where do you want me to go find more money? You're not helping yourself. You know, bitcoins are, you know, becoming big in this country, right? There's a reason. Yes, as currency, it's you know, there's no taxes near them. Even the internet. Look at the internet in this country. The Congress of this country needs money. They just passed the 1.75 trillion budget for you know, Build Back Better, right? They needed to pay for it. It has to be a pay for, right? Otherwise, the congressional people will not even give a good score card for the moderates to vote for it. They could charge a whole bunch of internet transactions, but they are not doing it because there is a very good reason. Okay, we can learn from where we are. We are here. You know, they can ask us, Daniel, you were joking that they can pay you for your, you know, your consultation. And, you know, to some extent it's true. But they can, you know, they can get practical free advice from you if they actually reach out to you. So it is, my summation is that it is not the country. Ghana is hurting. Ghana is hurting so bad. My brother Ifa, my brother Daniels, Paul, nobody has to remind us how Ghana is hurting. All right. One of the reasons is that we have borrowed so much, but none of the money made it to where it needed to go. There's no doubt about that. Then all the little areas, you know. So, for example, the closure of the toll, there was an economy around that toll. You may not have liked the look of it, but there was some economy around every toll. Okay, you're going to get rid of it. You know, people's livelihoods is what you are actually getting rid of. Okay, and it's for you know, tone deafness. Tone deafness is a word Americans throw around a lot. I think this particular government, you know, and like, again, I am not an MPP, I'm not an NDC guy, okay? Because and when I was in Ghana in 2014, Mahama was in power. My own brother-in-law, you know, was an auditor you know, and gave me examples of how Mahama's brother would walk in and ask for contracts to be signed. Okay, I criticized him nonstop. Okay, so we should have the courage, because what is in it for us as partisans? Absolutely nothing. Our families are suffering. So let's you know, this government has done so much bad for itself, you know, and sometimes I don't even know if we care anymore. So I think we should really look at the country in a different light. We should do what is good for the country. We should hold our people accountable. That's the biggest one. You know, I feel like I'm going to start reciting the policies or the principles around the Fix the Country group. You know, so much. The constitution of the country needs to be looked at, of course, because all of what we're talking today flows from it. You know, and that's one of the things the Fix the Country people are talking about. The president has too much power. There is so little accountability with in Parliament. You know, this proposal that we have digested and actually pointed out some good and bad things in it. Let you watch and see. It will go to Parliament, and they're going to put the stamp on it, and it's going to roll without any intelligent discussion. So anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much for that submission. You know what? One thing I know going to Ghana too is the people on the street, especially those who selling at the toll booth, they'll tell you there's more money on the street than even in the bank. Trust me. So it is that, you know, kind of just removing them like that is, you know, destabilizing several different micro
Paul, and I think the way it was done to was not fair to them. You see,
all of a sudden,
you know, people all of a sudden you have to give people to plan, because these people,
Daniel, you know, allow me to speak.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Lawrence.
Yeah, so Dr. Lawrence, you have the floor now. Dr. Lawrence. So Dr. Lawrence, I know, I wanted to throw in something else there, because the government says they are going to use the Ghana Amalgamated Trust Fund and turn it into a private equity firm as one of their agendas to actually change our economy. They are doing the development bank. They wanted to do that as well. And then what else are they doing? So with all this, with all this, I mean, they are getting the youth into some type of entrepreneurship, and they'll be giving loans to them. They dedicated $1 billion towards that. They call it Youth Starts, which will be giving about $50,000 to any young person who has a brilliant idea. And I'm thinking about that, and somehow I'm thinking this is going to fund some political party members. Some of this will, of course, go to some kids that have brilliant ideas, which, if those programs were available when some of us were growing up, perhaps would have become the new, what is he? The guy who owns SpaceX, Elon Musk. So,
Elon Musk.
Yeah, so we are criticizing the government for raising all this money, but it looks like there are some bright ideas in there. Don't you agree?
No, I don't. And I must say here that Mr. Nutekpor has not disappointed his financial secretary. I mean, your submission has been very bright, brilliant, and I know at your next meeting, your financial secretary is going to talk about it. Perfect. And your English is not that difficult to understand, like Daniel and Ifa. No, they speak English, big ones. I don't like them. Now, we are talking about the tool. I just want to concentrate on the tool thing, and then I can come to your other areas. I also, Mr. Nutekpor, I also live in Kaswa. That is where my house is. So, like you rightly said, I mean, if you leave Accra at 7, by the time you get home in Kaswa, it should be like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So the best thing for you to do is to be running around in Accra until maybe 9 o'clock. You leave Accra and you still get home at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m.
Yep.
So if you want to get to Kaswa on time, and because of that, you say you are leaving Accra at 7 o'clock p.m., before you realize you arrive at 10 p.m. and spending 3 hours on the road. And it's all because of this toll thing. Now, the finance minister went to parliament, projected what the government intends to do in 2022.
Yeah.
And then a day after, the Minister for Transport and Communication, Roads and Highways, comes up with a directive that all toll booths should be closed. You see, this is the crux of the matter. This is what has made this toll thing something that everybody is talking about. Nobody would have cared about this toll thing if the Minister for Roads and Highways had waited for the implementation of it in 2022. But some strange reason, whether he didn't understand what the minister was saying in Parliament, whether he didn't understand what the parliamentary rules and everything are, he just issued a directive that night and closed all the borders.
Right.
I mean, the toll booth, without taking into consideration the after effect of his directive, without taking into consideration the workers at the toll booth, and without taking into consideration those who sell at the toll booth. All he wanted to do was for Ghanaians to hail him for being the fastest minister to implement what was in the 2022 budget. And now look at the backlash. And then when the backlash came, instead of him to come, retract, and apologize per what the speaker was asking him to do, he asked his chief director or one of his directors in the office to come and insult Ghanaians the more by telling Ghanaians that what the minister did was not to suspend the law, but to suspend the operations at the toll booth. As if Ghanaians don't know the difference between a law and the operations. As if they don't know, Ghanaians don't know that it is the law that makes something operational. And so if something is being stopped to operate, it means the law is broken.
Right.
As if Ghanaians don't know that. And then I think in the same letter, they were trying to, the Minister for Roads and Highways was trying to blame the motorists for not understanding what the budget actually said, and he was running away from responsibilities.
Right.
And that is the MPP for you. Whenever they are wrong on something, that is why I asked the first question in my presentation: is Nana Akufo-Addo still the president of Ghana? Because some of these things you wouldn't expect it to be seen in the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo,
right,
or in the governance of Nana Akufo-Addo. The way they presented themselves in 2016, he and Dr. Bawumia, the way they presented themselves in 2016, you wouldn't expect some of these basic errors, and people refusing to take responsibility. You wouldn't expect some of these things to be seen in Nana Akufo-Addo's government. But Alfred, is the toll operational now? Have they started collecting the tolls? Today is Saturday.
I think they shut down. They clear all the tolls out, so you can just drive free for now.
So they haven't started collecting the money. I
mean, they've not been. They were actually collecting tolls before, but now they shut it down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Since Friday, the budget was read on Thursday, and the tolls were closed yesterday. So yesterday and today, they haven't collected any money at the toll stations.
I suspect so.
So how much money have we lost?
Well, they say it's insignificant.
What is insignificant? I mean, if they say insignificant, what is that?
Right.
What does that mean? To say something is sinking. I mean, a whole revenue coming into the treasury of the government shut down, and you are calling it insignificant. So what is significant?
Right.
And the minister for roads and highways is still at post as we speak. And the president is vacationing in France, and the country is being run by a joker called Dr. Baumia. And so everybody is doing whatever he wants or she wants. And so also will just get up and tell us, if you are able to transmit 100 cities, it means you are not poor. The minister for roads and highways will just get up and tell us the people working at the toll station didn't understand the budget. He understood the budget, but he rather brought the directives that all toll stations should be closed. And then his director at the ministry will come forward and tell us the minister did not suspend the law, but the minister rather put a stop to the operations at the push stations.
Right.
And since yesterday, nobody has paid toll at the polling station, at the toll stations. Look at the revenue we are losing. And we have a president in Ghana. What is the meaning of that country? And if Trump tells us in Africa, Ghana included, that we are a shithole, some people were insulting him.
Right.
What is a shithole more than this?
Right.
Everybody is in the country and doing whatever he or she likes. Insulting the people of Ghana, those who voted for them, insulting them. Now, the deputy minister for finance and economic planning, he was on one radio station and was, when the presenter asked him what he is going to, or what they are going to do with the workers at the polling station, at the polling station, he told them, or he told the people of Ghana, that the companies where they work will find a place to fix them.
Right.
So when they were putting these measures in place, they didn't even think about them. They didn't think about them.
Yeah, I think it was rushed because majority of the policies they have proposals either were supposed to start January 1st or February 1st. So this one, to have it immediately, I say, what was the rush? I mean, if it was that much of a rush, you could have done it 5 years ago, right?
Alfred, that is how we call an incompetent and insensitive government.
Right.
This the way you have placed it, I would say, or I would put it in a very nice, very gentle, very politically correct way, that this is an insensitive and incompetent government.
Okay.
They do things by impulse. They don't think after the fact.
Right.
Just like the NAPCO trainees. They just brought this NAPCO thing and said they were going to finish their thing by October 31st. And they didn't think about what they were going to do after October 31st. And then they wrote a circular to all the agencies that have NAPCO to drive them away. And when the pressure started coming on them, they wrote back to the agencies to tell them to let the NAPCO people stay.
Now they are saying they are going to move the NAPCO people to youth start. So they
don't mind them. They are you see, they know how to use English. You start. What is you start? I mean, what do you mean by you start? They just bring a name and then say something for Ghanaians to believe that they are doing. You see, this government is pretending like it is working.
Right.
And that is what Kufuor told them. That if you pretend to be working, we would also pretend to be paying you. And that was why when the NAPCO guys were going, they owed them about 2-3 months. And these poll agents, they are the executive director of something disabilities. He was on Joy FM, and he told them that they owe them for 2 months.
Right.
They haven't paid them for 2 months, and then you sack them. So now how are they going to feed their families? And then you think this government, when they told us that they have the men, you will believe them.
Right.
You believe them. And the people who are selling on those roads, even though some people are now beginning to talk about it, is the same MPP. They are now beginning to talk about whether it is illegal or illegal for them to sell on the roads, just because they've implemented a bad policy that is affecting those people selling on the roads. So now they are going to bring in whether it is legal or illegal for them to sell there. When they were selling there 5 years ago, weren't you seeing them? Today you sack them and it's affecting you. You are going to talk about legality. And look at the cry. Some people have gone for loans. Some people have gone for new stuff. All of a sudden, bam, no more trading.
Right.
What kind of government is this? I mean, just come to think about it. Do you see? You see, this government does not know anything it is doing. Whatever it is doing, I don't care. Dr. Bawumia, Mr. Nutekpor has told us who Dr. Bawumia is. He has been so useless from the beginning when they were in high school all the way to being a vice president. He has continued to be useless. I mean, Nana Akufo-Addo, who doesn't even have a law certificate, but he's going around telling people that he's a lawyer, and these people are the people leading us.
All right.
What do you expect?
Those are some wild allegations there. Nana Akufo-Addo's law certificate, we don't know about that. But anyway.
No. I mean, people have dared him, Alfred. People have dared him to produce this. Do you remember, Alfred, we are in the United States. Do you remember that the former president, what's his name?
Barack Obama?
No. The former president
asked for birth certificate. Okay, Trump.
Correct.
Trump
dared Obama to produce a birth certificate to show that he's an American.
Right.
And what did Obama do? Obama produced the birth certificate for the whole world to know that he was born in America. And people are daring Nana Akufo-Addo to produce his law certificate. What has he done? Nothing. He has seemed not to even remember or care that people are asking him to produce something just because he doesn't respect the people of Ghana. His government does not respect the people of Ghana, so they do things by impulse. They don't think.
But it would be a bigger indictment on the whole country to have him personate himself as a lawyer and make it all the way to presidency without, the legal system catching up with him. Even the NDC was in power. There are judges there who were appointed by NDC or who lean towards the NDC. They would have. So I don't think that necessarily is a good, issue to have.
Alfred, I get that, but then show us the certificate. That is what we are asking for. So, I mean, I'm bringing this up because I just want Ghanaians to know the type of leadership we have in Ghana.
Right.
Okay. That's all. I don't care whether Nana Akufo-Addo is a lawyer or not. I don't care about that. But people have dared him to produce his law certificate. He hasn't been able to do it. And Mr. Nutekpor told us about the background or a little bit about Dr. Bawumia. That even when he was in high school, he was like that.
Right.
I mean, he's here. I mean, if he's lying, then we are all lying. But he's the chairman of one Volta group. I mean, I don't think he can lie like that.
Right.
You understand? So these are the leaders who are leading the country. And then we have a minister for roads and highways who is also patapa. He does his thing just like I don't even want to use a word for him. But it's shameful. Dr. Bawumia, Nana Akufo-Addo, who told us that it is insensitive to tax Ghanaians in this period of economic hardships, and yet look at all the taxes they are bringing on the people of Ghana. Whatever they said in 2016, they are doing against. Whatever they said against the government of 2016, they have done 3-4 times more.
Okay.
Can you believe that? And Ghanaians are tolerating them.
Right. These
people should have been shipped out of the presidency and the government even before we get into 2022.
Great. Okay, we've been on for the last 3 hours, so I know it's been a struggle. We've lost a few of our panelists already because they have to move. They have to, pay attention to other things. But that is a great submission there, Dr. Lawrence. I just wanted to have the last. I want us to have us do last words now. But before we do that, I have a question that I want you to answer, and maybe you can address that in addition to your last words, which is that's not a question per se, but to say that Ajapa royalties is coming back in 2022. In a budget statement, the president said that he's taken down that initial proposal he has to create the special purpose vehicle. In fact, special purpose vehicle has been registered. It's there, the Japan Royalties Limited, but to operationalize it, that he's stopped that since, of course, we know when Amidu did the corruption risk assessment and all the brouhaha that went with that. And he has since taken a lot of consultation, stakeholder engagement, gotten a lot of opinions, and he's incorporating all those opinions into a revised version of the Ajapa deal that he'll be bringing to Parliament. So Ajapa is not dead. Ajapa is coming back. Just a point of something we should note, and we can talk about when we come next time. I think Dr. Lawrence's video is out, but let me take the last words from Focuses. You've been with me from the beginning of the show all the way to now. So if you can give me your assessment of today's show, what you've heard, some points that you wanted to make, but you couldn't make them because we move on fast and went on to some other things, please use this time to cover that up. And then, again, tell us where to locate OVG, how can people reach out, how can people join, and what are some of the next activities that you have planned that people should be aware of. I think you're on mute, sir.
I am mute. Okay. Technology. So thank you so much, Name. As I said in the beginning, your last name is my middle name. Yes, it's been a pleasure being on your show today. We have covered quite a lot of ground. There are so many things from my perspective as the chairman of the One Voter Group that I want the world to know. Basically, the plight of Votarians. Again, I would state again that I am not partisan. I don't think we should actually be partisan. We should be referees in the country. And when one party comes, we look at its performance and decide whether they should be rehired or booted out. That's what citizens should actually be. And so, besides the fact that I run or I head a non-profit organization that does not take sides, I am so in life. Some of the things that has happened to the Volta region is very disturbing. Right from its division, and I know my brothers and sisters in OT are probably having buyer's remorse right about now. All the promises that we had to divide you in order to develop you has proven, just a promise. To all the issues we've had. Right before the 2020 election, all of a sudden we had to re-register everybody because, we were so obsessed with the notion that people were going to come from Togo and vote for the NDC and place so much hardships. We need to understand the plight of Votarians. And this argument could go on any side of the border. We were one people who got divided by an artificial line by our colonial masters. That alone should enrage us. And then we then go back and perpetrate the crazy things that our colonial masters did by shutting the border on pretext of COVID. When we know that's not the case, right? People are suffering. needlessly. If that border was open, there would be no difference in the status of COVID in Ghana or in Togo. There wouldn't be any, because that's just how, that's just reality. And so that's a point as to how the government, our leaders in parliament must put pressure on this government to open the borders. They must open the borders. And whatever needs to be done to make sure that happens should be done. Secondly, we talked about the tidal waves, erosion along the coast. The people are suffering. The government of the day has not shown up to the game. It was the former president who brought a little bit, over 7,000 people displaced, and they are still.
NAPCO went in eventually as well, but
they went in. Yes, but my point is, they are just going to put band-aids on the big problem and go back. 3 months from now, we're going to be having another tidal wave, because geographically, Keta is below the sea level and all those environments. So we need to, most governments, when something like this happens, immediately go to the drawing board and try to find permanent solutions to that problem. So that is not going to happen in an administration that sees itself as, we don't gain anything from them, so why should we even go do that? So our leaders, parliamentarians, district administration officials should build the pressure to the region and to the government. That's on tidal waves. And then, of course, I would ask that, the disrespect the people of the Volta region have suffered under this administration needs to be reversed, needs to be looked at. Our chiefs should stand up for each other, at least. The way Togbe Fiti was disrespected just because he wanted his subjects to have a classroom to go, it's unconscionable. It's unconscionable. And I applaud. I understand some people are putting a GoFundMe together to try to go finish that school. I think we need to really look at that. As far as the current government now, the budget, I pray that the types of MFA that I was on the panel with today, and Daniel, I hope we have more of them who are not taking straight party lines. Yes, you can defend your party in some way, but when your party starts to do things that hurt the country, you should be Ghanaian enough. You should be Ghanaian enough. Yes, I said it. You should be patriotic and Ghanaian enough to say, no, this one doesn't work. This one is going to hurt our people. And let's get, practical solutions to our problems, accountability, and, all the things that needs to be done to bring the people of Ghana some relief. People are really hurting. I live here. I go home every year. And when I traveled, I was in the Volta region as the chairman of the One Volta. I went to see the regional economic minister. As a matter of fact, there's a fair, Volta fair, going on right now that One Volta is represented. Right, we are there to showcase a little bit of what we have accomplished, and we are also there to meet our constituents. Right, we are there to listen to the people who found it important enough to come to the fair to showcase either the economic, tourism, or whatever they came to showcase. We are there to listen, get their views, so that we can see how we can partner with them. And that, one of your questions, is the big difference between One Volta group and some of the other groups that are traditionally, put brick and mortar on the ground, like Sienna. I am Sienna's project director, so it's actually a good thing, right? We go and build schools. We are just now completing a library project in Lolobi, which is in the OT region. Yeah, it's in the OT region. But Sienna went and put this project together. It's good. But One Volta, we are on the advocacy, making sure that the people of Volta are not taken for granted because we are taxpayers, just like any other groups. You know, the budget. You know, we didn't get to that, right, Alfred? I looked at the infrastructure part of the budget. There's no one little thing in the Volta region, not one road in the and I'm not sure if that's because they haven't flashed out the full details. I saw the Eastern Corridor Road as part of that, but it's, you know, the part they're going to fix is way up there in the north. So once again, tax-paying Ghanaians like everybody else, and we are getting marginalized, and this must stop. And I feel like our representative, the people who have actually put themselves forth to be voted to go to parliament, should speak up. There are a whole bunch of them, you know, besides Honorable Ablakwa and perhaps Jifa Gomeshi, and you know, one or two other ones. How many times have you seen any of these people stand up in parliament to advocate for the people who send them to parliament? And yes, you did raise the specter that in Ghana it's not as easy to primary people. I guess they're taking comfort in that. But I tell you, maybe one Volta, that may be one other, you know, area we look into. You know, we have a lot of competent, capable administrators and managers right here in the States. And why not maybe, you know, encourage some of them to go home and live in those states, in those districts for whatever time they qualify.
Wouldn't you be doing a political, since you have 501c, you should be staying away from politics, right?
Well, you know, I'm not saying we're going to be NPP or NDC. We're going to help our country in whatever capacity we find ourselves. And I'm not saying, you know, me as the chairman would go and run for political office necessarily, but we should be able to, you know, participate. We're still citizens of Ghana, and we should be able to participate in its development, especially the Volta region that we feel so marginalized now. So we have work to do, but we are up to it. You know, just because you can't do everything doesn't mean you shouldn't do something. And that's what One Volta, that's the base of our organization.
Great words there. Just because you can't do everything doesn't mean you cannot do something. On that note, I'm going to say a big thank you for stopping by. This is your second time on the show, and each time you come, I am amazed by, you know, the fact that you're able to remember all these different things that you even talk about. So I'm going to take these tapes and like we've discussed before, I'm going to chop it up into nice, beautiful pieces and we'll blast them all over the place. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate all the thought leadership that you brought to the show today. And I'm sure the other panelists would agree as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take
Thank you very much.
so we can just if you can do your last word for me. I know you were, you know,
but I think I have some advice for Mr. Kossi. I appreciate all that he's expressing with regards to government development on all those issues, but it is a bit one-sided, and I don't think this government hates the Volta region. You see, every aspect of the country, if you take the 16 regions, every one of them feels that they've been marginalized. You can even pick Accra, you go there and people will be complaining about some issues. So you say, as a government, they pick and choose, you know.
But there are degrees in this marginalization, right? We feel like we've been Volta region feel like they've been really marginalized.
Okay, so
natural disaster just happened in the Volta region.
Okay, so if you have a political party, it is not a marginalization. You see, it is because of, you see, here is the point. And if you don't do that and you continue on this tangent, nothing is going to achieve. If you have two political parties in Ghana with a stronghold from where you come from, and one of them having ruled the country for so long years, and you're still complaining, then there's something fundamentally wrong other than the government. So you gotta get that. So if you have any blame to do, you would have blamed the other side and not this side.
Yeah, I said that too.
That
I
is
said
what I'm
I
gonna tell
don't
you.
blame this one.
Mr.
And then
Nutekpor,
so for me,
you are seeing the true colors of IFA now.
You see, I feel if I can make my, I feel all where you are coming from. But you see, when you tribalize it, then you take it off. Because recently I was in one of the. Hold on. No, if you say this government, disrespect for the Volta region, it's not true. The government does not disrespect Volta region.
You heard the president talking to Talk with Fiti, and we've heard other express.
Okay. So a reply to a particular person. That's not a reply to a particular person. Does not mean disrespect. Now, when Otumfuo went to the UN and made the statement, NDC responded, Mahama responded. It's not a disrespect to the Ashanti region. To clarify an issue. We can go and disagree on all this kind of stuff. No, we cannot go and disagree. But these e-blocks are dotted in the country, everywhere in the country. It is not that the e-blocks are only dotted. And if you are talking about neglect of e-blocks or abandoned or whatever you want to name you put it, it is not only the one in the Volta region. So what are you talking about? So today Volta. The Volta chief says this, then another one in wherever to say this. I have one in my region too. Then the chief said this. We're gonna have a, you're gonna put the government on a disorderly mood. Okay. So instead of this venting, if you can let me go on, instead of this venting, right? The Volta region is a strong force. Look at the number of MPs in Ghana. You do your lobbying. And there are so many powerful with connections in Ghana. Let me tell you, if the speaker was able to get the president or this government to complete a project in the region when he belongs to the other side of the political party, what makes you think that with the coordinated effort behind the scene, you cannot get something done? Other than, you see, we make this public and then it is like there's a fight. It is like somebody is fighting somebody. But deep down, that is not the case. So we can make these cases without being public about it, because the public only brings in, who do they think they are, blah, blah, and then we go on this tangent and it doesn't help us.
I personally think that the public spat with, where the MPs are having problems with the government and are on radio screaming, doesn't necessarily help the people, because rather we would prefer the MPs to be negotiating in the back door with the government, trying so hard all they can to get development.
And a lot of them have done that. A lot of them. MPs got NDC government to do certain things for them. And NDC MPs have been able to run to
Yeah, but also if you belong to a region where not only were they excluded, part of that region also excluded from voting, not only are their border, which they depend on mainly for their livelihoods, be shut down. They are being.
It is not only Volta border that was shut down. So you saying the other borders do not help the people. The other borders are open.
I'm giving a list of things. If they are not in the border crossing with products, they are at the water side or fishing and harvesting fish and selling and all that. That is even a problem. So these people are being hammered wherever they turn.
And I also want to say that if it is the case,
we are growing, right?
Right. If it is the case that what you are is peculiar to that region, then we understand. But what you are complaining about also exists in other regions. So what do you think that
no other region has been disenfranchised? No other region has the tidal waves displaced the people as we are speaking right now.
Okay.
And in the
so you think the tidal waves only affected Volta region? Is that what you want to say?
Well, this current one definitely Volta region. That's it.
Only Volta region?
Yeah. Where else?
Oh, it is not the coastal belt.
I'm talking about this current one we are discussing today. It's only in the Volta region.
Okay, so it is not. Maybe it affected Volta region to a greater extent. But what I'm saying is that if you so make your case, right? Make your case that so there's a tidal wave, it has affected my people, they need help. So where is the government coming from? Right? So government should come in, NADMO and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. I understand. But to use words like disrespect for Volta region, and to single out that you see this thing is not done because you are Volta region. That I disagree. I disagree.
The signals that you put out there makes the people say that you put up a budget somewhere, I think it was 2018, and you forgot a whole region. That was what you said. You forgot a whole region, and then in the middle
okay. So there is not a single budget that has forgotten a whole region. That's not true.
Which one?
Which
other one?
That is. Give us one example.
There's not a single budget. There is not a single budget in Ghana that has forgotten a whole region. You are talking about a section of the.
Alfred,
if I can finish, you get your time. If you are talking about a section of the budget that did not include that, I will understand that. Okay, so there's a section that deals with roads that did not. But to say that the whole in that budget, Volta region were not paid. They didn't make a payment this thing for employment. So the people that were working there, they seized the employment.
You know what I'm talking about. You're spinning the story, but let's wrap it up.
I'm not spinning anything. If you say that the budget has been made and the Volta region has been taken out, it means there was no employment, there was NAPO and blah 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 and all that. But that is not true. It has to do with a particular section of it.
I know government has to make choices as to where they deploy their funds. Even today, Nutekpor is telling you that look through all the projects. There's not a single project being cited in the Volta region.
But we can pick it up. We can pick it up, and we're going to go into it, and that is not true.
Right.
We can pick it up, and we can talk about that. But you see, but what I'm saying is that you can make a case without saying that Volta region has been neglected. If I can finish, because this problem with the sea defense and all that, this problem with the sea defense preceded this republic, right? It has always
That's why they leave them alone.
Okay, if I can finish, but you see, but you see, Kufuor did something, right? When we came, we've done our part, right? Now, so you cannot say
what did Kufuor do? I know Rollins had contracted for the sea defense. And
okay. When was the first phase of the? When was the first phase of the
the execution? Doesn't mean he went and sourced funds for it. He supervised the execution. You see. If we don't elevate the discussion, if somebody, government is a continuous process. Somebody make the funds available, somebody execute it, and you still have a problem with you haven't done anything. Okay,
you are looking for every single means just to bash.
is blowing a lot of hot air.
Yeah, you are.
With all due respect, you are blowing a lot of hot air.
I have my time. Let me finish. If I finish,
your time was long gone. Your time was long gone.
Are you the host?
Wrap up.
Okay. If my time is up, thank you very much for today. And then
finish.
Exactly. And when it gets to things like that, just please control. So here is my thinking. I am saying, and I'm going to repeat it. Make your case. You are from the Volta region. You need certain things done. Make your case that this needs to be done. That needs to be done. But don't tribalize it. That this government disrespect the people of Volta region. That is something that is not true. It is not true.
That was a specific thing.
It is not true.
Said.
When Mahama said that even if you build Ashanti Road, we go, they're not gonna. It is not hate. It is not hate.
Nobody said hate.
Who said hate? Who said? Alfred, can I? Is he done? Can I respond because he's mentioning
so
me in a lot of.
So you use the word. You use the word disrespect for Volta region.
Yes, and if you remember what I said, I didn't even blame.
Stop.
Let me hold on. Let me respond, please.
No, don't tell me to stop because I have my time. And if you can finish, then you can come in. And it's not a cutting and stuff like that. This is not a short fire.
Okay, then let's because for Mr. Nutekpor, if you can let FR land. FR, please land, and then we can have respond. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So having said that, today's discussion has just been diverted to another thing. Maybe I wasn't in the beginning, so I don't know. But I thought we were discussing the budget and stuff like that to do with the budget. Now, people can focus on certificate and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he's still the president of Ghana and running the country. This government has not disrespected any tribe, has not disrespected any region. You know, we put together a budget and then we make a presentation and stuff like that. If the people from the region in government are not pulling strings and people in powerful positions are not pulling strings to make sure things are done, you blame them. You don't just throw all these big things out there. It doesn't help us. It only divides us and continue to divide us. Ghana is not only Volta region, it's all part of the country, and resources are distributed to fit everything. There are resources coming from Volta region that helps with other parts and stuff like that. So that is where we gotta get to. Having said that, I've enjoyed it, and you guys want me to finish so fast so you can hammer me, but I've enjoyed the discussion, and it's always great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a comment from Rasa Kolache for you. He says, please don't try to play the equalization game. I'm disappointed. You think it is the responsibility of NDC to develop the voter region because they vote heavily NDC. That is beneath you. Then, of course, Tagbo Azadagli Bokon says, is so insensitive to the tidal wave issue, which is natural disaster. Was there any tangible natural disaster during the former government's grievous and the current one? Let us call a spade and stop this. Okay, so Mr. Nutekpor, if you can respond to some of the things Efa said.
Yeah, sure. Mr. Efa, brother Efa, you took some stuff and made it into what it wasn't. When I talked about remember that I had come on before you all came in. I came on as a chairman of the One Volta group. We discussed issues. When Alfred asked me to sum up, what I had done, that's why I went back and touched on each of these issues really quickly to make sure those who joined us later understood what had gone on that. And in particular, when I brought up the issue of disrespect for Togri Fiti, that is real. We right after the president's retortion to what he said, we went in. It surfaced on WhatsApp and Facebook. Several different chiefs from other parts of Ghana who had issued similar ultimatums to please come and fix this school in my village, right? Come and do it. Just come and do it already. There were videos of other chiefs that elicited no response, the type of response that came out of the president. And you have to call.
They didn't come with ultimatum. Did they come with ultimatum?
They came with words. Alfred, if you give me, I will send him some of the videos of the other chiefs that did the ultimatums, and they actually were more disrespectful, right? But we had no such thing. And for the president to have responded to a whole chief the way he did, listen, Mr. Mayor, wherever I was born in the Brong-Ahafo region, I went to school in Hwidium. I was born and bred in Hwidium. I went to school in secondary school in Tamale. Went to primary school in Salaga, and secondary school in Tamale, and then came to Kumasi Amas for sixth form. I am not a tribal thing, right? I am the chairman of the One Volta group, and which is an organization based off of an advocacy group for the Voltarians. So when issues come up, we have to actually defend it. The way the president responded to that chief was not, I don't know how else you say it in your hometown, but it was very disrespectful. Okay, right. I have said it. I will not apologize for it. It wasn't said to any of the other stuff. I have made my point. I have made my point. I have made my point about the issues in the Volta region and what we are doing about it. We as the One Volta group. I included our MPs in the blame. I included the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, who did not come to the aid of that chief that was disrespected by the president. I blame them. I didn't go to Kufuado say, why did you do that? Okay. The problem, the way we solve our problem is internal. Okay. The way we solve. I thought you landed, Mr. Amiyah. You landed. Let me land, please.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me. You landed. Let me land as well. You know, let him finish. We are not bomb throwers. We analyze the issues in our region. We realize, to a point of one of the viewers, I said he was right, because some of the things we need to do for ourselves rather than waiting on the government to do it for us. You know, we have been endowed with so much, and we need to get ourselves to a certain point so that the government can see, and when we talk about it, they will not look down on us anymore. So we are here to solve problems. We are first and foremost Ghanaians, and we are Voltarians. You know, not the two are, you know, linked together. You are from another part of the Ghana, and yes, there are problems that occur in different places. There are certain problems that are common to all the different places. This tidal wave that devastated the livelihoods and homes of the people in that whole Volta coastal area is something that happened just to them. And as a president, you know, should have visited there by now. You live in the United States. You see how things like that are handled by the president of the country. It did not happen. However, what are we going to do? We have to pick up where we can and do the best for our people. So I have not made this into an airway versus, you know, that's how the folks in the parliament who think they have, you know, that's for them. That's not for me. Okay. We have real problems, and we Voltarians will look for solutions. And that's what One Volta group is. Okay. We are not blaming anybody. We are going to look for solutions. So that's where it is. So it's not. All
right, thank you. Let's leave here. We've done almost 3 hours.
No. It's a friendly one. It's a friendly one.
We've done almost 4 hours, not 3 hours.
Yeah, we've done almost 4 hours. Can you hold your question? Come bring it. I'll exchange your numbers.
Okay. Yeah, I need his number. I need to have some discussions with him.
No problem. I will.
Thank you.
Do that.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you, Mr. Nutekpor, for that answer you just gave to us. Yeah. So, Dr. Lawrence,
I will just be brief and short, but I just wanted Mr. Nutekpor to know that he advocated for Efa and Amiyah to be coming on the show, because those are the people that he thought are going to serve Ghana better. I just want to tell him that he hasn't known them yet. I mean, if you think Efa and Daniel are the people who are going to speak for Ghana to move on because they are not partisan, then you haven't known them yet. and, and maybe this is the first time you are hearing from them. And you see, Mr. Nutekpor, the reason why Ifa and Daniel spoke the way they spoke was that they couldn't defend what their party is doing. You see, they couldn't defend what their party is doing. So if you can't beat them, you join them.
Right.
That is why they spoke like they are Ghanaians or they are partly NDC. They are not. In fact, Ifa and Daniel are very polarized. They are very partisan. But because the discussions we had, which is the budget, because they couldn't defend what their party and their government is doing, they just have to join us. But I just want to take this opportunity to say that this has been a very great show. I've always enjoyed it when I come to Ghana Agenda Show. Just that most of the time, Saturdays are my busy days, so I don't get like today, we have spent 4 hours. I mean, me spending 4 hours on a Saturday is big because I need to go and start drafting my article for the week.
Yes,
because they will come out on Monday. And
what are you writing about this week?
I mean, the title of this week's article is that the 2020 budget too shall pass. And you know, in Ghana, when anything is bad, you know, when a calamity comes on you, they tell you or they console you by saying this too shall pass. So the 2022 budget too shall pass. And that is what I'm going to write on. And I want to take this opportunity to thank anyone or everyone who listened to us. And because of this 2022 budget, the MPP has driven Dr. Bawumia away from their presidential slot. Dr. Bawumia can no longer be the presidential candidate for the MPP in 2024 because they've used.
Because the NDC is scared of him, so don't.
No. I mean, who in the MPP now can face John Dramani Mahama? Who? Right. Just tell me. You see, but this budget in particular, and I know that 2023 is going to be worse, and then they will use the 2024 one to, you know, just put some credits, you know, give people free things again for the votes. But Ghanaians are wiser now. Ghanaians are clever now. Ghanaians are discerning now. They will know and read between the lines to know that these people, they voted for them in 2020, and now look at the budget they've presented to them. So when they vote for them in 2024, the 2026 budget is going to kill them. So they will not even dare. So I will take this opportunity to tell every Ghanaian that if an NPP man comes to you and tell you breaking the 8 or break the 8, just look at his face and insult him or insult her for telling you breaking the 8. This is all I will leave for the Ghanaians this evening. Thank you very much for a great show.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence, for those last words. Ras Akolache also said that final words, advice to NDC, focus on querying MPP policies and offer clear-cut alternative visions. Don't be sidetracked by inconsistencies. Advice to the MPP, learn to take every feedback as a gift and don't feel the need to scratch every defensive itch. Doing so makes you come across as insensitive. So, that has been the show. Johnny Wood says, great show as always. So I guess people are enjoying the show and they've told us that in the feedback.
Yeah, because Dr. Lawrence is here.
Exactly. And we'll be reading Dr. Lawrence weekly updates as he puts them out. So we'll be waiting for that. Dr. Lawrence, we should actually be taking steps from that and be sharing on the show as well. So
yeah, just as you allowed Dr. Nutekpor to come, let me also come and share my weekly.
Well, you have to
share my weekly articles.
you have to make me the secretary of your organization first.
No, financial secretary.
Financial secretary. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and it's been a great show. I've enjoyed it myself. I've learned a lot. Whenever I have Dr. Nutekpor, right?
I guess I earned it, right?
You earned it. Whenever he comes around, I know he's going to get serious. And whenever Dr. Lawrence is around, I know the discussion is going to be solid. So I really appreciate you all for coming, and thanks to all the viewers for watching today's show. We really appreciate it. I think next week would be Thanksgiving. We'll all be celebrating, so we will not be coming on. But a week after that, we would be back here discussing the topical issues of the day. Thanks for watching, and have the rest of your weekend to celebrate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be back next week. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.